No! Ah!
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks, grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Welcome to CoCoTALK episode 261. It's 7 days to CoCoFEST. You booked a hotel yet?
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
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 Almost. We almost got there.
Me.
Hello.
We
Going
need
for that.
Samuel Gimes for that.
Yeah.
We're going for that quartet sound.
Yes.
Let me check off the list that I did that. Okay. Well, let's see. I think everybody knows everybody here.
I think so. I'm gonna take Ron Delvo to block.
Run the outro.
Gotta remember, we get
All
new
right,
viewers
so good.
occasionally, so we should introduce everybody anyway.
We do.
I like Ken for the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I invited some to watch today that I was commenting on their YouTube videos, which will come up in the news. So
Ooh.
Well, let's just make
Oh.
it fast.
Well,
Hey.
they're gonna wonder what the heck you got them into. All right.
Hi,
let's
I'm
see.
Mark, and I'm in the upper left-hand corner. Back to you, Mark B.
Oh, hi, Mark. I'm in the middle here, broadcasting and trying not to be the host today. Next over, we got Patrick Euland.
Yeah, I'll take a corner.
Take the corner. You got plenty of keyboards.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's good. All right. Next over, we got Ron Delvo.
Hello.
You in the garage today?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And in the middle of the panel, Ken Waters.
Center square.
There, that's
Game
the name I
on
was looking
challenge,
for.
center square.
And next up, Jason Reichard. And you've got what with you today?
I've got Diet Dr. Pepper. I've got my Mark Overhoser style optical apparatus, and I've got 1 week until CoCoFEST, and I'm excited to see everybody at CoCoFEST. I've got stuff being made. I will have dingoes that haven't eaten any babies at CoCoFEST.
Cool. All right. Next up, the man with the news, L. Curtis Boyle.
Hello, everyone, and thanks to Mark Overholzer for covering for me for presenting the news last week.
Yeah, we
I
didn't
was
give him a lot of
forced.
notice on that.
Yeah, like 4.5 minutes.
It's like, here's the list. Here, have at it.
I tried giving it out ahead of time. I let everybody know I wasn't going to be around, but
Well, they basically asked me, do you have access to the Dragon group on Facebook? Yeah. Okay, well, you're it. Oh, okay.
I think the
Thanks.
main question is, why aren't the rest of you on the Dragon group on Facebook? Come on, guys.
I am on the Dragon group on Facebook.
They rejected my email because it has Canadian in it.
No, they don't, because I'm Canadian. I've been on there for years.
Yeah, but I tried to join and it said that I didn't have a valid email address. Canadian Retro things.
I'll talk to them
let's
then.
see. All right, next over, we got Simon Jonason.
Hey guys.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Last but not least, we have Exile in Paradise.
Bingo.
Mr.
Wait.
Allen.
Is this that game? Howdy, everyone.
Okay. Let's see.
Another check mark.
Done. Yep. Another check mark. All right. Anything in the project updates?
Anything in project updates that people don't want to hold on to it to the fest to present it to, first time in public at the show?
Here's a sad one. I found my CoCo t-shirt and I was going to
Hey,
wear
I remember
it,
that one.
but no, I'm not going to wear it.
Doesn't fit anymore like most of my Rainbow Fest ones don't either. When I try to wear them now, it looks like a tank top.
Yeah, I got that exposed midriff thing going on there. Not so
All
cute.
the
in my
rage.
boots.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you enjoy hairy navels, they're probably fun, but otherwise, no.
I think I went to high school with a hairy navel.
Could be a bar drink too. I'm not sure.
Oh, I do have an acquisition. It's kind of hard to see here, but I did get a new chair. So like the old chair, the old chair was squeaky. So this one doesn't squeak. So that's my only acquisition right now. Then I'll have things at CoCoFEST, and there goes Rocky. Hi, Rocky. What are you doing?
Oh, way to go, Sloopy. You took me out of the center square.
Oh, we're out of Hollywood Squares mode. Oh, don't step on the keyboard, Fuzzboy. Here.
Well, my acquisition was two yards of foam rubber to pack for CoCoFEST.
Well done.
That's a nice dense stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like we have a special guest.
Oh,
My mom says I'm special.
And my bus
driver says I'm special.
I think we're being pranked by a Stevie lookalike.
I don't know. Look
Stevie
at the
who?
lighting.
it's a
It's a deep
imposter.
fake.
Deep fake.
He's glowing.
So Curtis is here this week, so there's no chance we're going to get off easy with a 2.5 hour episode. Is that what we're going to realize today?
Well, it also seems we don't have any project updates either.
I figure we just live stream the news up until the show itself. Is that good with everybody here?
24/7.
Ken will stream my driving habits.
5 days a
No,
year.
better not do that. Never mind.
The CoCo News Network.
It
There we
just
go.
occurred to me because I was talking to you guys for an hour before the show, and it never occurred to me we should have talked about what is our plan for streaming during CoCoFEST. And since I'm 99% sure I'm not going to be there, I will probably just be streaming it for you guys. So just get a laptop with Zoom wherever you need it to be and let me know, and I will start the streams here as the weekend goes. That's plan A. And if I somehow pull a Hail Mary and get there, we'll figure out plan B.
Are you gonna arrive via hot air balloon? Is that what we're going for?
Flaming Zeppelin, I was shooting for.
I was thinking it was maybe trying an underground railroad too, but digging the tunnels takes time. So
What about
Back of a
a
semi.
couple of weather balloons and a lawn chair?
What's wrong with a sticky elevator?
Has he got a
Well,
badge you can steal?
I mean,
I guess
you're in
one question
Florida.
though is who's going to have laptops that they can leave, for 8 hours, 10 hours streaming continuously versus they need it for something at the show.
How about
Laptops are
someone
capable
get
of
me?
it.
How about someone get me some handcuffs in a mail bag, and I'll drive down to Florida and kidnap him.
Okay, pass the hat for Sloopy.
Hit you right on a rocket.
Yeah, but Florida's on the way from where you're at. That's just a
shortcut. Yeah, especially considering Tasman's already asked me to come and get him in Georgia.
Yeah, I'll just
seriously.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't being serious.
I hope not. That's
either that or he didn't know where you lived. One of the two.
Oh no, he knew. He told me he was joking because I was like, "Well, where do you live?" And he's like, "Oh, Georgia," and I'm like, "That would literally 20 miles under double my round trip time."
Right. Yeah, we were talking about possibly carpooling last year too, if I was going to drive. But for me to get to him off of the highway, it would have been like an hour off the highway and an hour back to the highway, which just adds 2 hours to the 21-hour drive, So
I got it. Why don't we all just chip in and get Stevie a really nice Greyhound ticket?
I got a trebuchet. That'll work just as well.
If he leaves tomorrow, he might make it in time.
We'll even spring for the deluxe ticket. We'll go ahead and get you a bus with a porta-john in it,
with an indoor outhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I thought we were just going to stuff them in the storage on the bottom of the bus. That's what I was thinking. Probably cheaper.
Yeah, they do. You can ship via Greyhound, and if it fits, it ships.
Well, NML32 says, "I live in Florida. Why do you bring? Why don't you bring my computer to Mel? I can't read that from here.
To me.
Oh, to me. Okay.
I would say,
let's just make all kinds of personal deliveries.
Yeah,
it's not delivery; it's DiGiorno. I already have stuff. I have to bring to David Ladd from Michael Brandt. So I got to remember to bring that stuff too. And
David's getting a delivery.
It's not Dr. Pepper related, although
I wonder if it's something that he can tinker with.
I think it is.
And just out of curiosity, who all on the panel? Like Stevie, you're 99% you're not going, and I'm pretty sure that Simon's not going to be able to make it this year. But who else on the panel is actually making it to the fest?
I'll be in there.
So just over half, it looks like. I can't see if Exile in Paradise raised his hand or not.
No.
I think one of his eyes blinked. Blink once for yes, two for no.
Unfortunately, he's blinking the eye you can't see.
On the other side.
I also wanted to say you guys did a hell of a job, especially last week with the news. Mark Overholzer he was our secret weapon, like freaking Mr. News Anchor. Got the whole thing going, and great job, Mark and Mark, for your tag team news last week.
Well, it's one of those mantras to say about sports newscasting. You got to keep speaking till you think of something to say. So I think you did okay with that.
Darn, he's on to my secret.
Is that why these shows are so long?
Yeah, it cost me twice as much because I had to pay American wages for you guys. But
and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Checks in the
looks
mail.
like Alan replied in the chat. He said, "No CoCoFest for me due to work projects," which is what I'm trying to do this weekend, is catching up because, of course, after I let all my clients know I'm going to be gone for a week next Thursday. Oh, here's a bunch of stuff you better get done before you leave. So
right. That's always my problem. Like, I won't even tell people I'm going out of town, and when I get in the plane or I'm at the airport, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. I'm getting phone calls. I'm getting texts. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. So it's just.
See you in a week.
On a scale of 0 to 1 F's given.
Oh, well,
I'm greatly looking forward to it. I missed being because no Canadians were basically allowed across the border for the last one, which was delayed as it was, because of COVID restrictions, etc. But I'm really looking forward to actually seeing a bunch of people in person again.
It was bad because he missed it by a day. I mean, they opened the border the day after.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like.
There'll be some new faces there. Like, Ken, this is your first time going to CoCoFest, so
it is.
Are you going to be bringing Hawaiian shirts to CoCoFest, Ken?
Hey, out in chat,
I don't think he owns anything else, to be honest.
Well, over in chat, we've had a
Nick Marotta.
Oh, it is. It's Nick Marotta. Nick Marotta. Nick Marotta. Hey, Nick.
Nico.
mistakes made
Yes.
while you watch, huh?
Someday we have to get Mr. Marotta down to one of these shows too, I think. But
Oh yeah,
probably
and by
won't
the
do
way, I
this
do
week.
like the new segment you guys have had the past couple weeks too. The echo. I like that.
Well,
That's a-
hopefully that's fixed this week.
That's not an issue. That's a feature. That's a new feature.
We had to work hard to get that echo.
Yeah. It's really hard to make it sound like it's a mistake.
That really long,
Yeah.
that really long delay.
Yeah, that would take actual talent.
If you're looking for actual talent, you've come to the wrong place.
Ask your doctor if talent is right for you. Yeah, Nick is out there. Nick Marotta.
Side effects include watching CoCoTALK.
Psychic hacker treatment is available afterwards.
Mhm.
Fred said he won't be able to make it this year. I'll mention something for Fred, actually, and probably it's a bit of a more public thing too. I was originally planning on having the next version of Nitrous 9 EOU available at the fest. Some of the people that are involved with some of the sub projects that are part of it aren't done like Fred. And my stuff's not done either. In fact, I haven't really touched it in the last month because I've been too busy with work. So I'm not sure when it'll come out. It is still being worked on. It will be coming out. Just won't be any time near the fest here.
You're fired.
I'm in charge of the project. You can't fire me.
Oh, we're gonna have to
Either that or
wages.
just buy it out and Elon Musk it all. That's what I'll do.
We appreciate everything you do, Curtis, and all the whip cracking you do also for your minions. I mean, coworkers. I mean,
Minions.
coworkers.
Friends.
Friends. Yeah, friends. Thank you, Bill.
Minions. I thought those were those little guys that look like Twinkies with goggles.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, and Fred too. Thank you, Fred.
Kevin Holloway's asking, is 261 the right episode number? I think it is. I don't know.
I think it is.
I didn't do it last week, so I'm
right.
kind of lost.
I did.
Yeah, it's 261's good.
I
Did we
did the
perform
the arithmetic shift right, and I think that's what we came up with.
Well, did we have some type of episode number checksum available?
I just add one to my screen every week.
Yeah,
And
I
Terry
think-
Steggy is saying he's a grandpa again. Sorry for that side effect of CoCoTALK, but
Wow. You got to stop reproducing, Terry. Come on, get your tubes tied already.
I don't know how do you tie grandpa tubes. I don't know how that works.
Asparagus.
Yeah, that horse done left the barn years ago.
Anyway, we don't have a fixed topic for today, so I'm guessing maybe talk a little bit about the upcoming fest. For anybody here that's going to be exhibiting or doing seminars, if you want to let people know what you'll be doing at the fest, if you've got some new stuff that you're not going to officially announce until the fest, you can maybe give us a hint, yeah, new stuff coming or something like that. But if we want to go around the table for the people that are going to be there, any announcements or pre-announcement hints, etc. Starting with, I guess we might as well go in the same order on the screen as Mark did on the intro. So Mark Overhoser, anything to mention?
Same stuff as last week. I should have boomerang
Lots of
boards.
screwdrivers.
And yeah, screwdrivers. If I got space for them, I've got bags of screwdrivers. Where I will get these with these temperature sensors, and I think right now we probably have about 2,000 of those screwdrivers. So I'm snagging a couple hundred of them at least.
Okay, and for new viewers who don't know what a boomerang is besides the Australian deadly weapon, you want to explain what exactly it is?
Yes. So the boomerang, I should have some, I think there's supposed to be 20 of them. Hope everything passes testing. 20 boomerang boards. Basically, these are a 2 megabyte memory board for your CoCo 3. They come with a accompanying DAT board, which is basically it's a buffer for protection for the CPU, but also it provides the extra 2 signal lines needed to access beyond 512K, which is the limit of the CoCo 3 by itself. So I'm going to have some of those. I'm going to have some of David Ladd mouse boards again, and with boxes. And I have a few of Scott Wendt, Malfunk's little USB adapter boards. He only has software so far for the Xbox 360 controllers, but theoretically it could do mouse and it could also do some joysticks and stuff. So, but anyway, I'll have some of those if somebody's interested in that hardware. And of course, those prototype boards. And hopefully I'll be messing around with some network cards, Rick's network card. So I have stuff to sell and stuff to show.
Cool.
Last week, Nick Marentes was asking, would the Boython DAT board work on a Triad Cloud9 memory board? And I think it will, because I think one of the things that Richard was saying before is that some of those Triad boards actually had 1 meg on them, even though they were being sold as 512. And with his DAT board, you could get 1 meg off of those. So I think
you're right.
I think the DAT is the DAT. I don't think there's different ways to DAT.
Yeah,
well, there's a DIS.
I don't know about DAT. Okay.
Yeah, you could have the DIS or the DAT, but I'm pretty sure the DAT board.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That sounds right, DAT.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
You are right, Stevie. I forgot about that. Too many bits and pieces to keep track of.
Oh, absolutely. I still have one new in the bag. I've got a 2 meg boomerang board and the DAT board because I got 2 from him last time I saw him at a CoCoFEST in person, which was, gosh, I don't know how many years ago. But yeah, I still have I figured mine would be a collector's item, but apparently there's all new stock coming through. So
new and revamped.
That's new and how can it be new and improved?
Version 2.
It's now boomerang shaped.
And Mr. Oberholzer, you don't have a seminar or anything to show off these things. You're manning a booth.
No. Yeah, I don't have time to do that. So maybe some year, but not right now. So come talk to me in person.
I've
got a couple tables.
Okay, I guess I'm next.
Yep.
I'm bringing an extra suitcase. I'm trying to bring as much as my workbench as I can. So I've got bringing the desolder station, solder station, trying to fit an EEPROM burner chip tester. So I can do some CoCo repairs.
Can you fit Stevie in this extra suitcase? You can get him to the show that way.
I'm running out of room.
Oh, okay.
He needs a suitcase to put the cash in.
Yeah,
that's Nick Marentes.
Croggy.
That's what all the foam is for, because the airlines are not gentle with the suitcases.
I don't imagine they
Nope,
would be.
not at all.
I think the gorillas from the Samsite commercial are still working at the airports.
Oh, they got a really good union from what I hear.
Well, Ken Waters is going to find out my driving is pretty similar to that. So we'll see how much his gear survives.
You guys carpooling?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, just avoid the couches.
So I have to drive halfway across Canada to hop into the car with Curtis and then drive all the way down to Chicago.
And then drive halfway across the states. Yeah.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Let's see. Rick, what you got? I know you got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What you bringing?
Most interesting thing is I've got this network card that works on 80% of all CoCos just fine, and occasionally doesn't work. So if you might be interested in playing with CoCo networking, because this thing is ludicrously easy to write demo apps for, so it could be a lot of fun if it works on your CoCo. Bring your CoCo, or if you buy one CoCo, come by my booth and we'll test it on the card, and I can tell you for sure if it works or not, because it either works completely or it fails totally, and I can't figure out why. Most CoCo 3s are good, half the CoCo 2s are good, but I have such a small sample, I can't really point to what's going on.
Yeah, what the common denominator is.
Anyway,
I know you were speculating before it was actually the chips you were getting from the place. There were certain different revision runs of them, but that's not the problem now, it sounds like.
Well, I mean, beyond that's the problem that I've got 10 of them that I really can't just eat. So if it works on your CoCo, I have 10 units that will work on your CoCo. But how do I know if it works on your CoCo unless we plug one in and see if it works? So anyway,
put Tabasco on the chips.
If you soak it in vinegar, it might soften up to the point where it's a little bit easier to swallow.
So anyway, that's what I've got. I'm bringing the key fix boards because they do work.
And how many of those, I know you were going through the various different revisions of CoCo 1s, 2s, and 3s. How many of those actually you have working now on the keyboards?
So we have the 3s and the 2s with the full height keyboards. And I'm working on a melty one, but it's kind of its own adventure. And I think that completes the Mylar keyboards. The other ones were all sort of circuit boards and switches, I believe.
Do you even have the chiclet keys, or like the old CoCo 1 ones, or no?
I think those had switches under them. I don't think those were Mylar, were they?
Oh, actually, yeah, you might be right. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I haven't looked at mine for quite a while, so.
Well, I think I've run out of the ones I can fix. Is it Amphenol part? The Chiclet keyboard is really weird, but nothing that can't be overcome.
I mean, my favorite thing about it, other than fixing a keyboard where the Mylar's, gotten kind of wrecked over the years and, certain keys quit working, is the fact that you can swap the Alt Control and the up and down arrow keys on the CoCo 3 keyboard, because that's going to come in so handy for some of the old games.
It is indeed a handy gadget, and Sloopy's playing with one of my cards now.
Everyone needs one of these.
That's the Ethernet card.
That's the full boat. It's got the 550 serial port and the network card.
Ooh, Sloopy.
So yeah, it could be big fun. I'm still waiting on the 550s to come back online again. I'm not good enough at surface mount to reliably do them myself.
Surface mount's easy.
Well, the 48 QFPs are kind of hard for me.
Those
I
bottom
can do one for
terminating
myself.
parts.
I can do one for myself, but if you give me 10 in a row, I got to do, it's going to be a bad day.
Okay, let me see them. They're fine.
Also, 60 Karen in the chat, there is, I think, a statement for Rick. Might be related to this weird disparity isn't to do with how some machines need pull-ups on the CPU address lines, is it?
Real good question. I mean, I've got 3 CoCo 2s, 2 with the horizontal TV and one with the vertical TV. And one of the horizontal ones works, one of the horizontal ones doesn't, the vertical one works. It's like, what's going on here? It's not earlier serial numbers on the CoCo. It's not the kind of RAM that's installed. It's
well, if Mark was correct, Mark Siegel was correct in saying that the serial numbers basically don't mean anything at all. They weren't actually consecutive. That might not help you anyway.
So that might not mean anything. Right?
Yeah, that's basically what he told us. I just need a bigger
sample set is what it comes down to. It's only been tried on, a dozen CoCos, maybe. There's 5 or 6 out in the field, and the CoCos I've got. So it's not a very big sample set, and I really need to see what's going on. These are all the same board. And supposedly they're all the same WizNet, although the production numbers have changed over time, obviously. It's kind of a date code on them. But I'm
usually a silicon revision is what it usually is.
I'm just puzzled. Well, this one just seems to be a simple date code. It sequentially gets older at kind of a periodic rate. It's like every time GLC restocks, it's got a different code.
Hey, 60, do you have an article or anything on the pull-ups for the Dragon or the CoCo that you could send us a link?
Yeah, that would be good to try.
Those are those diapers that are easy to take on and off, right?
Tried all kinds of other things. So, hey, let's try something new.
See, I wasn't going to say that, but I thought of it.
I'm a big boy now.
I do know there was mention in the Dragon group in Facebook that pull-up resistor actually solved some problems with some hardware add-ons they were doing too. So maybe it's related. I don't know. Because they had some iffy ones that worked on some Dragons and some not. And that seemed to fix it consistently.
Well, that's the other thing I've got to find at the fest. I've got to find a CoCo that doesn't work with my card, because I've got to give back. I've got a customer's CoCo that doesn't work. I found a card that works on it, but then when I give him that, now I don't have any way to know which ones don't work out of future cards that I may get. So
could you exchange him one that works and then keep that one as your test base?
I don't know. I'll have to approach that when we get there. But otherwise, I'm going to be running around the fest going, is CoCo for sale? Can I plug this in it? Is CoCo for sale? Can I plug this in it?
Look, Magic Smoke. Okay, can you give me yours instead?
Okay. Let's see. Next up, Ron, you were going to be at home, right?
Well, if I was to go, can I share my screen?
Sure.
If I was, it says I cannot.
Oh, well, you can.
Okay. If I was to participate.
If I had a hammer.
This is what I would do.
WeFax. Take a drink, everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody
drink.
take a drink. It's
WeFax.
Are you going to give us live weather reports for us driving down there, Ron?
That's
From
correct.
WeFax?
You could be our keynote speaker, and we could sit here and watch a fax download in real time, and that would take up an hour and a half's time. So you could maybe do a little song and dance while it's downloading.
Bring your shortwave radio
at the beginning.
What's that, Ron?
If you start drinking at the beginning of the fax, it moves much faster as time goes on.
Are you speaking from experience, Ron?
No, I'm assuming. I must say though, the last one I downloaded, if you saw that, the detail on it's fantastic. I'm learning how to, how do you say, improve as I go.
You'll have to give me lessons because I'm not able to do that.
Yeah, you guys are overly rambunctious about this particular thing.
I love me some WeFax.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Oh, I thought you said WeFlax. I thought it was a breakfast cereal like Weetabix. Sorry.
Every once in a while, I get somebody that's interested. They'll text me or something and say, "How the heck are you doing this? You know, give me some ideas." And I tell them, and then pretty soon I say, you know, post something. You know, even if it's bad, post your results. That's it. Never hear from them again. Oh wow.
Well, they're still drinking from the start of that. That might be
That's
why.
right.
Hey, that's it. They got distracted.
Yeah.
Friends don't let friends drink in WeFax.
No. You know what? I came to me as I was looking at the green screen for a while. You know, back when they made the CoCo or they made this 6847 chip or whatever, do you think we had a green screen because back in the day, green CRTs were big then, or what?
I honestly don't know. The VDG chip was actually older than the 6809. I think if I remember correctly, Motorola came out with that in 78, I think. So 2 years before the 6809 came out, or a year before anyway. So I'm not sure what the thinking was. It was pretty old technology.
Because there was amber, green, and what other?
Well, later there was like paper white and stuff, but yeah, most were either just
Yeah,
that
it started
plain old
off
white.
as green. Amber came out years later as like a reducer of eye strain.
Yeah.
Supposed to be softer on the eyes, but
And some of the old white ones, you had that little mesh screen you'd put over top to dim it down so it wouldn't blaze your eyeballs out of your head.
And there was also a screen you can put on to have it so people next to you couldn't see what your screen
the
was.
privacy screens, yeah.
Yeah.
Green was probably chosen because between red, green, and blue, green is the easiest on your eyes and easiest to read.
All right. Searing red text. That'd been great.
I think the predecessor to the CoCo, though, was the Ag Terminal, the Green Thumb project. I think that's probably why they chose the green because of that.
Yeah. And we know how important colors are for reading text because we've seen some of Ken's high score tables with colors that are a little off.
There we go.
What brown on what
Poor
black
guy.
on brown isn't good?
Black on
Sorry,
dark
Ken.
red.
My favorite is the mauve on taupe combination.
No,
That's,
speaking of Ken,
What about me?
what are you bringing to the fest?
Oh, what am I bringing to the fest? Well, I'm bringing me, myself, and I. All three of us are going.
wow.
Not.
I don't know if I have room in the
enough-
car for all three of you there.
Did you get a big enough hotel room?
That's 3 suitcases.
You got a volume discount.
I'm bringing my Hawaiian shirts.
Well, thank goodness.
But
I got to see if I still have any. I had multiple Hawaiian shirts myself, and I thought since we're doing a presentation together Sunday morning, I thought we could be in sync having the Hawaiian shirts, but I really don't think those fit me anymore.
Twins.
Hey, what about a WeFax shirt? Hey, what do you think?
Take a
I would, but
drink.
it takes too long to sew. So
Everybody take a drink. Ron said WeFax.
Yeah.
I'd like to see an active WeFax shirt so it keeps changing with the weather.
All right.
There, hey,
To have a flexible,
like a mood ring.
LCD screen.
now we should mention Ken is also co-presenting a seminar with me on Sunday morning too. So
Yeah.
Ken, if you want to explain what that is.
We'll be going over some basic 09 commands that are not in the manual that's available online. So you can learn more stuff about basic 09 and doing graphics and other things. I I don't know.
Undocumented extra features.
There you go. That's undocumented extra features, sort of. There is documentation. I'll show you how to find that too.
Is there a WeFax command?
Asparagus, Ron. Asparagus.
Why
Come
yes,
on,
Ron. There
just
is a
lightening it up
WeFax
a
command,
bit.
believe it or not.
Okay.
I want the teletype command instead myself.
Okay, Jason, what you got?
Oh, what do I got? Well, I'll bring this.
MC10.
So you obviously got
Yeah.
a window in your room. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it makes it with the memory thing. It makes a good bookend.
The tables are wobbly. That'll help.
Yeah, that'll help. But seriously, I will have a limited amount of the Dingo high res available, along with limited amount of pretty much everything. But I will have some Joey high res if you need the whole switching system. I will have some serial switch boxes. I will probably have some drive wire cables, maybe even some. I'll have some switcheroos, of course. I'll have some crikey, drive wire cables, that sort of thing, and maybe a couple other things. We'll see what we get done between now and then. But
Any fake Australian licorice by any chance?
only if I go to Dollar Tree, or what is it, $1.25 tree. They have that Wiley Wallaby, and you look at it, it's Australian style licorice.
Right.
Speaking of wallabies, I'll probably have some wallaby cables and some. Oh yeah, I do. I have wallaby. And I'll have some kookaburra. If anybody needs a RGB extension cable, I'll have those.
Now, will the lovely Sarah be accompanying you?
No, she will not be.
So she has tasted what you're saying. She doesn't want to meet all of us.
Did you tell her Grant was going to be there? Is that why she's not coming?
Could be. We get a very busy month, and she has to be selective of what kind of time she asks for off. So this is something she has to sit out. But and then the weekend after that is Hamvention returning after 2 years. So we'll be going to that.
So live faxing there is what you're saying.
Well, we could, if we find something interesting, I could bring it to you live, but I don't know if anyone will be doing WeFax live. But we'll check.
If you started Friday, it might be done by Sunday. So
right.
My switcheroo, that I bought from you, the thing is still working. I don't know what the deal is, but
it's still working. I'm so sorry, Ron. I was hoping it. I hope.
How are you supposed to sell more products?
Yeah, that it lasts. You can
let him send you a replacement at a nominal charge.
You can still buy another one if you want. Stevie has.
Just shipping and handling.
Well, Stevie buys stuff because it's the latest thing, and then he stacks it up behind it.
Because I couldn't find mine, and so I ordered one from him. And like the day after I ordered it, I found the one I couldn't find. So now I've got a backup switcheroo now. So
that sounds like a door prize.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I would like to get a switcheroo, but I would like to get the actual box you need to go with it. From somebody that knows that it works well with a CoCo, because it seems to be intermittent if you order them online, that sometimes it works, sometimes they don't. And
well, it just has to do where you order it from. And unfortunately, the way these things are made, there's a bunch of different overseas manufacturers that make them. And sometimes you get a good one, and sometimes you get one that's just crap. But
they all look the same.
Well, then they all look the same pretty much. I mean, I have one here that looks very similar to the ones that I've gotten, and
that's what I got right there.
That's very similar. I just get them off of Amazon. That way, if there's a problem,
just send it back.
Hassle-free returns is the big thing, because I do not want to get into the business of selling these boxes.
Right.
Number one, truthfully, I'm not going to make any money on this. Not. It's just a
That's
hassle.
Understandable.
And I don't want to.
And then if there's a problem, then you don't want to get into having to be a freaking warranty exchange. That's already
Exactly.
Jim Brain's already got that market cornered. So.
Yeah,
the thing you have to watch out for is you have to watch out for some of these that look really cheap, or it looks like a great price, but if you read the fine print, it doesn't do RGB. It only does composite. And I've had countless folks say, "Oh, this one's cheaper than the one you're talking about," and it doesn't do RGB. It looks terrible. The switch doesn't work. That's because this one doesn't do RGB. There's some really cheap ones out there that won't look at the RGB signals at all. And those
I always
you have
tell
to stay
people,
away from.
don't get the cheap one. You're going to be disappointed. Sorry.
No, I mean, about 30, 35 bucks US usually. I mean, I've seen them go as low as like 25 sometimes. But I ordered one recently on Amazon that was, it kind of worked. It kind of looked like that one that I just, I showed off, but it didn't. A lot of the modes didn't work on it. So it's kind of hit and miss, and it's really hard to specify a specific brand because these are all coming from China, all no name basically. And
so there is not even a more expensive one. There's not a standard one that everybody knows works no matter what.
Well, you can go more expensive if you want, but then you're looking at, I think 100 and up. I think there's
like double to triple the price. Okay.
Yeah, double. I mean, there's ones I think that are 200 and they're great. Except for $200. They're $200. They have lower latency than you're going to have with the $30-$40 one from Amazon. But that's geared towards really a different audience. That's people that they're just doing RGB exclusively because those higher end converters do not do composite.
Listen, if you got nothing to do sometime and you reach your hand back behind the CoCo and you push one of those buttons on there, well, you could spend some extra time figuring out how to get back to where it worked. But it's just some, 10, 15, 20, maybe half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and you're good,
Well, Curtis, I'm bringing mine with me. So if you like it, I'll show you which one I picked out and bought. So.
Yeah, because I would like to get one eventually here. I mean, I do have, my Gimme X actually has a VGA out, so I just put that in the monitor right now. But my other CoCo 3 is running on an old, tube Magnavox monitor. And if that ever goes, then it's composite only for me at that point. So I do have to look at getting it. I've seen too many horror stories here. I'm not, as you well all know, I'm not electronically minded, and I don't really know what to look for. Like if I could get a bundle that has the switcheroo and a working box, I would pay a little extra for that.
Well,
personally,
you would have to.
Well, put it this way: if you want to get one, Curtis, we can talk offline. I can maybe have a box and get one here for you and bring it to the fest, maybe. But we can discuss it. I mean, I can make a special.
But I know I'm not the only one in that situation. That's why I was asking.
And I
do understand the fact that if you guys aren't even sure what you're getting when you order it, that's a different story.
And I just don't want to have to warranty. But the thing I was going to mention about the expensive high-end ones is they have a composite input, but it's only using it for video sync. It will not switch to composite. It literally ignores the signal on pin 16 that tells it RGB or composite.
So in that case, you don't even get composite without artifact. You get no composite at all.
You get no composite, no composite at all. Exactly right. So, but I have kicked that idea around, but it's just I think it's a high risk, low reward type thing. But
when I got mine, there was an instruction booklet, with 70 pages. It was easy to read, and it was no problem at all.
The switcheroo installation instructions are one sheet.
Yes,
one side.
Stevie mentioned he has to go here, so we'll say bye to.
All right, take care.
Yeah,
Stevie.
this whole SCART box was putting me to sleep. So sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Stevie, you have fun, sir.
Ooh, it's David Ladd.
Well, at least we have a high energy replacement now, so go away, Stevie. That's fine.
David, I am so excited to see you.
Oh, just wait for next weekend, buddy.
Ooh, I won't be there, David.
Oh, you slacker.
But it is a good time to introduce the Bring David Ladd Diet Dr. Pepper to CoCoFEST program.
Oh, that's right. And I see DeBruce is joining us. Hey, DeBruce.
Oh, Lord.
Good to see you.
Hello.
Well, now that we've got a couple other people that are going to be at the fest here, and some maybe presenting stuff here, we might as well talk to the two of them too. So, David, you're coming to the fest?
Well, I'm planning on it if nothing else decides to break on me.
David's gonna run a seminar on how to not answer a question but still talk in circles for at least 15 minutes. So
I can do that, Steve.
Yeah, I know. I heard that hey, David, is there any chance that the grease weasel could possibly help Terry Steen recover these floppies? Well, let's see. We could get some gain attenuation floppies, and we could do this, and we could do that. It's usually like a yes or no, or most likely would have been a good enough answer.
You should have gone into politics.
David, the fine art of not answering a question but not shutting up.
Politics 101.
It was a definite maybe, if I remember
Oh
correctly.
yeah, absolutely.
So, David, are you bringing any hardware to show off or anything to show at the show, or just bringing yourself and
probably
presenting
not.
your lovely face?
Yeah, I'm just bringing myself and bringing some stuff that's been needed to be gotten to Eric Canales.
Ooh,
So,
and Jason said earlier he was going to try to bring you some stuff from Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon, Mike
Yeah.
Grant. Yes, it might be something you could tinker with, David.
Yeah.
And Bruce, you're coming to the fest, obviously, and you've got a few things coming to show, some stuff to show off and some stuff to sell. If you want to kind of let people know what that is.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'm gonna have some copies of Forest of Doom available. I was doing some math the other day, and I believe to date I've sold 96 copies. So I want to see if CoCoFEST can push me to the 100 mark. I think that'd be pretty cool. And let's see. I just put up a CoCo Forever. Now where is it? I can't.
I saw a thing on Facebook with the cassette.
Yeah.
USB cassette. It looked like.
Yeah. It's a USB, but it looks like a cassette, and it's got the classic green sticker on there, CoCo Forever. I thought it's time to put that onto something tangible.
Yeah.
And along with lots of bonus content. And
oh, really?
I'll
like
bring
bonus beyond the regular bonus content.
Well, I'm not
like you had sort of a multimedia presentation. You had programs you ran on the CoCo and other stuff too. So
yeah, that was all,
that.
Yes, beyond that stuff.
Beyond that. Wow, that makes it a true bonus.
Yeah.
Could I, since I won't make it, could I possibly prepay for one and maybe have somebody hold on to one for me? Because I like collectibles.
Well, maybe.
Just charge them extra shipping, Bruce.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I'll send you the money and just give it to somebody there local. Then I'll see them in, a year or so.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm bringing 8. I want to see if anybody's going to pick them up. If they're going to pick them up, great. If there's like a big demand, then I'll make more and I'll start shipping them. So.
That was a real screw you answer, Bruce, but that's fine.
It's kind of like you got to be there to win,
Must be present to win, huh? Must be present to win.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Guaranteed to only go up in value.
And Bruce, you're giving a seminar too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm presenting. Yes.
How to apologize like a true Canadian? We're sorry.
No, that I'm going to be presenting my. I'm going to have a working demo of my sequel to Forest of Doom called Realm of Doom, and there's going to be some surprises in there, and I'm just very busily, crazily trying to get my presentation together. Like as we speak, practically, I've got it open on my screen, trying to get all my PowerPoint stuff together, because it's going to be soon. It's going to be a 2-day trip. Jacob and I are both coming. 2 days in, 2 days out, so we're really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, I guess it's time to start working on the presentations, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we should do that, shouldn't we, Ken?
We should talk about that, Curtis.
Block it out or something. Yeah.
Understand in the sequel, the Forest of Doom has been cleared and they've built a Kmart in its place.
Put up a parking lot just to make it more Canadian.
Yeah, no. I'm giving a good history. I there's a chance my old CoCo buddy's gonna show up. A small chance, but if he does, it's gonna be epic, because I'm gonna be talking about our childhood CoCo escapades. And as I was putting my presentation together, I realized that all this stuff I did when I was like between 10 and 14 with my buddy Glenn, has actually influenced everything I've created since I've come back to the CoCo community. And I never realized how integrated they were. And so I'm just going to kind of show how that bit of craziness and creativity happened. And then, of course, I'm going to have a big reveal. So got to be there.
Excellent. I wish I could. And there's a 1% chance that I might just decide to drive at the last minute. But I'm taking such a huge risk with work if I leave town, so that's my challenge. But excellent. I'm gonna bounce out of here. But thanks, guys. Great show. Have a great show. Thanks everybody who's watching us live, and catch you all later. I'll hear the replay later on.
Cool. Okay. Talk to you later, Stevie.
Mm-hmm.
Take care, Stevie.
Anybody else in the panel that's coming to the show that we haven't asked what they're doing?
We haven't talked to Sloopy.
Maybe that's because he's not here. Oh, there he is.
He's been hanging on for quite some time.
Why do you need to talk to me? What I do?
Are you coming to the show?
Yes.
And are you bringing anything, or are you providing any services there, doing a seminar or anything?
I am hopefully going to get there. I'm going to go stand outside and go like this and hopefully get a ride. Someone's already offered to take me. So hopefully.
Was it a guy in Georgia who's going to swing by and pick you up on the way because it's short?
No, actually, it's a very beautiful young woman. Goes by the name Missy. You may have heard of her.
Boy, she can be out of place with all the rest of us.
Yes.
I think she was envious all the fun he had last year.
When I told her that that there's a hotel room and it has a bath, and she said, "Bring bubble bath and I'll go."
Also has a pool.
Yeah, it has a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a reminder for anybody coming. Bring swim trunks. Everyone might have to.
It has a pool with like an arcade game and I think maybe a claw machine over there too.
Yeah, that'll be great. I could get a use out of my Speedos.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the pool sounds less appetizing now. I don't know why.
Yeah, unfortunately, the pool area is viewable from where we have dinner, isn't it?
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help that one.
Actually, that setup kind of reminds me of some of the old Elgin CoCoFEST in the 90s because we had one of the hotels that had an indoor pool where all the rooms kind of surrounded it too. So
I'm glad my imagination's burned out because I could not get a mental image of Mr. Ladd in a Speedo.
So anyway, to get it back onto a thought where I'm not trying to hold vomit in my mouth.
That's not helping.
So Sloopy, are you actually like manning a booth or anything? Are you doing repairs and stuff on site or bringing any hardware?
I'm going to try to. I've been trying to get things done and get things moved and organized and such. And unfortunately, with the issues with the house last week and everything having to move, I haven't been able to get much done. But I'm hoping to have a bunch of stuff to bring as long as I get done. I wanted to start doing assembly work, but finding parts has been difficult because everything's been pushed around. But hopefully I should be there and I should have some drive wirelessly and some internal drive wires to sell. But it's all depending on if I'll be able to get things done. But either way, I'll be there so people can say hi, shake my hand, throw tomatoes at me or whatever makes them happy.
Okay. So let me check my notes. Bring David Ladd Diet Dr. Pepper and throw tomatoes at you. Okay, check.
Aren't tomatoes just a little bit too soft though?
And yeah, it's when they put the rocks in them that's the hard part.
Frozen tomatoes. There we go.
How about
we'll bring some tomatoes from Canada?
Oh, sure. Give them ideas.
Cherry tomatoes.
Coconuts.
Yeah, we'll throw coconuts at you. There we go.
Dave Ladd, you're going to be there?
I'm planning on it.
Okay, then I will plan on bringing your stuff.
Woohoo!
Ooh, the stuff.
The contraband.
And
if you're not there, David, I'm giving your stuff to Grant.
Oh, really? Are we getting a leaky storm?
No, I figure it has a better chance of getting there from Grant's than it does from here.
Indeed. Okay, I think we've covered everybody that's coming to the show, haven't we? I don't think there's anybody left that.
I think so. All right.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a few years since I've been down to one. It's been a few years since Bruce has been down to one. It's been forever since Ken's been down to one, literally. And
That's good. Ken will get to experience me in person.
I'm going to start out with a big, big hug for you, David.
That's right.
Oh, Lord.
Watch out. He's a hugger.
All right.
You may fit in better than I thought, Ken.
We ready to move on?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody's looking forward to it. We're looking forward to getting it streamed, however we set that up. So, stay tuned. We'll try to get as many seminars and some of the show floor and people stopping by just to, I don't know, is there a plan for a regular show during this the fest, or is it just going to be the live streaming on the channel? Does anybody know yet? Or?
Well, since it's pretty much going to be only Stevie, I'm thinking just the streaming.
So live streaming, maybe some witty commentary, which means Stevie will have to get a replacement. Gotcha. Anyway, look forward to seeing quite a few of you there.
All right.
Not all of us.
Oh no, not everyone in the panel is going to be there. Is what I meant. Sorry.
Okay.
So maybe in David Ladd's case, if he's wearing a Speedo, that might apply. I'm not sure. So.
I look forward to seeing a select few of you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, one. But,
I think we're going to need a roll of redact tape.
I'm sorry. I just got to throw my input in there once in a while.
As long as you don't throw in the pool, we're good.
Okay,
right.
roll a tape.
Yeah, that's enough for CoCoFEST.
How about we do a commercial and things like that?
And then the Game On Challenge results, maybe?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Are you ready?
You are watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading weekly video podcast, featuring the Tandy Color computer. We spread the love to the past, present, and future for all models, including the original color computer, the CoCo 3, and the world-renowned exclusive French-Canadian CoCo 2. The Radio Shack.
CoCoTALK would like to thank our patrons who sponsor our program, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Alan Huffman, Alan Murphy, Blair Ledoux, Boughton Aaron, Brendan Donahue, Ryan Weasler, Brian Walsh, Aaron Anscombe, D. Bruce Moore, Daddy Burrito, Danielle Williams, Diego, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Downs, J-Style, Ken Reichert, Malfunct, Melly, Michael Pitsley, Michael Rayburn, OG Hugo, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Paul Thayer, Retro Tech Time, Rick Hewlin, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Stephen Wagner, Steve Batson, Steve Rasmussen, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tim Thayer, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom Herron, Tom S., Tony C., and William Athing. Thank you ever so much, patrons.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord This Week?
Stweb. Hi, I'm Stefan from Germany, and just acquired my first CoCo 2 from eBay. It's a Korean PAL version number 20261059 board. I've got a collection of retro computers and I learned about the channel on YouTube. Matchy. Hi, I'm Matt. I've been into CoCo since a kid, and as a hobby now. I like programming in CMOC and experimenting with semi-graphics. This server was advertised on CoCoTALK and I hope to share and learn more. The previous bios were edited for time's sake. Thanks to Melly, Boysantech, Paul Fiscarelli, Eric Canales, the Glenside Color Computer Club, Terry Stagee, and the CoCoTALK patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. At discord.cocotalk.live.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. I was trying to make some copies of discs, but the garden weasel kept tearing the magnetic media.
Welcome everybody to the results of this week's CoCoTALK Game On Challenge. This week we played Demon Seed. We had a total of 18 players. We had Kieran with 3,600. Mark B with 3,980. Damon Beals, 4,270. Mr. Dave 6309, 4,380. Tied for 13th place, we had Bob in CoCo and Kathleen, both with 4,480. Ed Rhodes, 5,130. Sabhead, 7,530. Sloopy Malibu, 7,610. Buck Owens, 9,110. Tom C, 9,270. Jim Rye, 10,310. Rich N, 11,260. Canadian Retro Things, 12,960. Brian Walsh, 13,370. Tasman, 17,380. David Craker, 18,860. And the number one score this week was Eric Omont with 39,370. Just a reminder, everybody, next week we will be at CoCoFEST. So this week's Game On Challenge will last 2 weeks. But thanks everybody that played this time, and we will see you in 2 weeks. So there you go. Eric Omont kicked everybody's butts.
Now, this game, I was watching the reports there. Apparently, it froze up.
Yeah,
on people or crashed.
I never had that problem, so I don't know if I just wasn't scoring high enough or what was going on, but it never froze up on me at all. So,
but from what I saw, it sounds like the Dragon version didn't do that. It was just the CoCo version for some reason. So it might have been a bad crack back in the day or something.
Might have been. I just had the version off the archive, so.
Yeah, I'll have to dig around. I'll try to see if I can find my original cracked version.
I think Sloopy, didn't you find something about if you hit 2 buttons at once, it was freezing? Or
no, that's what someone said, but that didn't turn out to be true.
Oh, okay.
It did that on mine, but it turned out to be a pause, not a crash.
Yeah, I'm wondering if people were accidentally hitting the pause button.
Some people said that it wasn't pausing; it was blocked up dead.
Yeah, it was definitely a crash.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
No idea, because it never happened to me, so I cannot talk firsthand on that.
And with all the buttons on Mark B's controller, I'm not surprised it didn't have a button that starts. Well, it's a button that starts Emacs.
Yeah. Well, that one's a fire button, but if I manage to hit the 2 together, then it paused it for some reason. And I don't know what that other button actually does on VCC.
Okay, well.
And also, I wanted to mention something that I saw in the chat too, that it looks like there's some extra things in the game that aren't even mentioned in the manual, which we do have online for this one, like that RL up in the corner.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, we did finally figure that one out.
Yeah. So who figured that out, and what exactly should be added to the manual, I guess?
Actually, Mark B figured it out.
Yeah, so if you hit the S key on VCC anyway, if you hit the S key, it would switch between left, right, and keyboard.
Okay, so that RLK is what it would put up.
Right.
In the corner.
Yeah. So your right controller, left controller, or a keyboard.
And it also works in XROR.
Okay.
And on real hardware.
It does? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that even in the manual?
No.
Nope.
I was on the beginning of the stream before I went back to work, and somebody had asked, "What does that R mean up in the corner there?" And I went and I grabbed the manual, and it doesn't mention it all.
In one of the reviews that I have here, they did actually talk about how you can switch between joysticks or the keyboard. They just don't tell you how.
And you have to be in the game to do that.
So I'm wondering if it's maybe something that was in an earlier edition of the manual or something like that.
Or we have an earlier edition scanned on the archive and not a later one, maybe.
Could be. Anyways, would anybody like to see those reviews?
Yeah,
sure.
I can't share my screen though.
Oh,
while you're changing to sharing there, David Craker mentions, for me, the crash was abrupt game termination when drawing the boss screen, even though I had multiple lives remaining. So that's definitely a crash. That's not a pause.
That's an illegal exit, right?
Okay, where is my reviews? Well, first I'll just show this, which is just a copy of, I guess this would be the instruction manual or whatever.
Yeah, and you notice here it says Color Demon
Color
Seed. That's
Demon
because
Seed.
this game was originally for the Tier Setting Model 1 and 3 by the same company.
Yeah. So that's that. Now, see if I can find what I'm trying to share here. I'll show all windows. Where did it go? I think I've lost. Oh, no, there. I just didn't scroll down far enough. So I did find one high score for this game. And this was, I think like August, or no, later than that. I think it was October 1984 Rainbow. It was the only one I could find. And it was somebody from someplace in Quebec, 13,010. So that's definitely a believable score since a lot of us beat that. And then there was a review here in Rainbow, May of 84 Rainbow. And yeah, basically they like this game. It's interesting because they do talk about how it's just a weird copy protection on the disk. And it causes your disk drive to jump all over the place when loading it. So it's really hammers the disk drive.
I have a question on the review too for you people that played it this week here. At the very last paragraph says, all in all, Demon Seed is a good arcade game that will grow on you. It is available in 16K and 32K versions. Is there any difference between the two?
I think we only had the 32K there. I think the 16K might have been the tape version.
Oh, okay.
And then there was also a review in the International Color Computer Club newsletter. So also like this game. It was interesting though, they talk about how, was it this one or the other one where they talked about how it was a white screen with dark color or with colors. So
looks like they talk about the copy protection in it also.
And they also talk about the copy protection. I was just going to say that, but yeah, so that's why I'm thinking this might have been an earlier version of the game or something, because the colors that they talk about in the review are completely different than what we were playing. It wasn't a black.
Either that or that's the European version, because I believe Demon Seed was sold for the Dragon 2, and that would have had to switch to P Mode 3 to get color at all.
Oh, okay.
So it might be the European version.
And then here they also talk, this article talks about the copy protection and what program the guy used to break the copy protection to make his legitimate backup copy.
Yeah, and Omniclone was by Prickly Pear Software, if I remember. That and Spitting Image, or Spitting Image, I think were the two most common for software you could buy to copy protected discs and tapes.
And this guy mentions here, I recommend it to every honest CoCo user. So it's interesting that both articles talked about how they didn't like the copy protection on it. So yeah, so that was the reviews that I found.
And hello to Frank of Retro Rewind, who just popped in the chat.
Now, something that Nick Morentes pointed out here is there's a video online of Demon Seed being played on the Model 4. So this was the other version that was out there.
Yeah, the one previous to the CoCo version.
Yeah, so this was previous. So you can see how it looks a little different to the one that we had.
Still get just as dead.
Yep. See, does he make it to the...
Apparently hasn't learned how to use shields either.
Nope, he never made it past the... Yeah, so unfortunately, he did not make it past the first two screens, so you don't get to see how the third and fourth screens look on this, but yeah. So it was definitely a game that was out there.
Yeah, and Computer Shack actually was kind of famous because they started the Model 1 and 3 market and had a ton of really good top quality games, and quite a few of them got ported to the CoCo, like Outhouse and Demon Seed and Time Bandits and etc. So they had a lot of good stuff for all the tiers hitting on.
And it looks like this game actually got picked up by another company later on because
if you're talking Mictron, Computer Shack was renamed to Mictron due to legal issues from Tandy and the Shack name.
Okay. So yeah. So some of this stuff does have one name and some has the other name.
Yeah, the older ones will have Computer Shack, the newer ones have Mictron.
Mm-hmm. So Sloopy, did you want to talk about the live show, or before we get into tricks and tips? I can throw up the video if you want me to. Okay, you're gonna advertise for Diet Dr. Pepper?
Oh, I thought this was all I had to show.
Well, here, I will put up the game on screen here if you want to talk about it.
Sure. We had 6 people playing this week and had wonderful time. We need to get more people playing, though. I want to see the whole screen filled. And sorry.
Well, I think we had more than 6 people. We just had 6 was our top number, but we did have
once because you had some people come in and out.
We had 6 people streaming at once.
Yeah. And
fun was definitely had by all. This was evidently one of the more popular games. As we were said earlier, we figured out the whole reasoning for the letter because that was a topic of discussion for quite a bit. And I mean, this game doesn't have a lot of, let's say, unique characteristics. I mean, person at the bottom, enemies at top shooting them. I mean, it's a common theme in the games. So,
well, it's a pretty well exact clone of Phoenix from the arcade. And that came out in 1980.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the ones that definitely, goes along with the original game.
Now, Mark Overholzer, there's an Apple II version of Phoenix as well, and I'm trying to remember the name of the darn thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't remember. You're right.
So I played that first before I played Demon Seed. To me, Demon Seed played smoother, but the Apple one looked a little bit better.
I did play that on the Apple too, but I just had the green screen, so I couldn't. Back then, that's all.
I had the typical funky 4 Apple colors, but
yeah,
I seem to remember blue. I think some of the characters were blue, the flapping ones.
As far as arcade clones go, this is pretty good because I mean, the original Phoenix has 5 waves, and that's exactly what this one has. And it has the alternating waves of 2 shots, then 1 shot of doing roughly the same thing with a slightly different pattern, and then the mothership at the end, which Nick stole for his Space Intruders game. But it's pretty decent clone of the arcade game. I mean, the arcade game obviously is a little bit higher res and has a bit more color, but the gameplay is pretty well all there. Nothing really missing. Pretty good sound effects.
Yes, and evidently Ken is better than I am at this game.
That's pretty well every game we've tried, isn't it? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Very rarely, actually. I think I've only beat Sloopy's score like 3 or 4 times in the last 20 or 30 weeks. So
yeah, if I'd known that he was going to do this on this game with his high score list, then last week I would have played another round of 0 Hour.
Now, one thing I will say about Sloopy, like I've been watching some of these streams, sometimes I have to watch them after the fact, but he usually does a lot of whining and complaining about how crappy the game is and how much he dies in it at the beginning. But usually by the end of the stream, he's doing pretty darn good. So he's learning as he goes along, and he actually gets quite a bit better. So I think that's the best way to play games, when you have the most fun, when you feel like you're actually advancing.
Yep, because there are a few games out there where you just get frustrated because you're never advancing. This is fortunately one of them that you do advance in.
Yeah, I went from what would have been about 15th in the standings to 10th.
Well, the first time I played it about 3 or 4 times at the beginning of the week, and I don't think I even made it past the first wave. So
you made it past the mothership once, didn't you?
Yeah, a couple times. I actually made it to the first challenge screen once and died immediately. And,
refresh my memory. What is the challenge screen?
So after you go through all 5 waves twice, you get a challenge screen. What the first one was all of the guys were coming up from the bottom at you, rising up from below you, and they killed me immediately, so I didn't get any further than that. And apparently Eric Omont just about made the 3rd challenge screen, but he never did. So every wrapping through the waves twice brings a challenge screen.
Well, if Eric's around, if he's around in the chat there, I wouldn't mind hearing what the second challenge screen is like, because from the description of the manual, it sounds like they actually might be different.
He talked about it on Discord. It's something to do with the eggs.
Okay.
Let me just look that up.
Because I don't think I ever got to the second screen, even back, second challenge screen, even back in the day.
Okay, here we go. A bit of a spoiler. The first challenge has a set of birds coming from under the screen. The second challenge has 4 eggs, but your controls are inverted. And he suspects the third would be different, a different formation of the rising flock, but not sure. And then I closed the scores, so he responded with a picture of Luke Skywalker screaming, "No."
So any tips and tricks? I mean, the one thing that I would offer as a tip, especially for people that have never played it before, is know the fact that you actually have shields.
Yeah, it took me a few plays before I actually figured out I had shields. But the great thing about the shields is they're unlimited. I mean, you can't use them one right after another, but they are unlimited. You never run out of the ability to use them. The only drawback is that you can't move when you're using them. You can still shoot, but...
Yeah, and sometimes you get a bird rover, you just send a torrent of continuous bullets at you, so you know you're going to die.
Yeah.
Other times they might wander off. My favorite part is when you hit his shield right before the guy is about to hit you, and then he splits it, is that the egg splits and he dies.
Yeah.
And you're fine. So that was always fun back in the day.
I
sometimes I did that on purpose to take care of the last guy. I wouldn't even shoot him. I would just purposely wait for him to come down. And
I did find that the shields were the best way to defeat the mothership. If you just shoot through its bottom shield thing and then just sit there and hammer the rotating shield, and every time a bird is swooping down towards you, hit your shield, and then if he shoots at you, you don't have to move. You can just keep continually firing upwards.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember my strategy in the mothership. I think basically I just went back and forth between 2 spots, one at the center and then one off to the side a little bit. And I just alternate, because wherever you shoot the ship, it drops a chunk of the ship at you that might kill you.
Yeah, until you get through the bottom part. When you get to the rotating
yeah, then you can just
shield,
rapid fire
you can
through
just
it.
hammer it because it doesn't drop anything anymore.
And if you take too long, the ship comes down and kills you anyway. So.
Yeah, and if the ship makes it to the bottom of the screen, no matter how many men you have left, your game's over.
Yeah. Which I think Nick duplicated on his last level of Space Intruders too. He did kind of the same mechanic.
Mm-hmm. You mean stole, not duplicated.
Paid homage to.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's a good word for it.
Jim Rye has a tip. He said, learn not to accidentally trigger the shields. That is very true. I remember that from back in the day, where you'd be like, getting frantic in the game, and you'd push the joystick up just a little bit, and all of a sudden because you freeze when you do the shield.
Yeah.
The shield stays on for a couple seconds, but you no longer can move. So all of a sudden you might be in a bad position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they the enemies take advantage of you when you turn on the shields.
They do,
because they freeze also. So if you have one coming in right at you, and you hit the shields because you can't shoot him before he hits you, he'll stop and wait there for you until your shields are good done. And then as soon as your shields go away, bam, right into you and you're dead.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, though, they always go the same trajectory. They don't switch direction. So if you know he's coming down to the right, for example, and you're a little bit to the right of him, and just hold your joystick left, so you're going the immediate opposite direction. They don't change.
They go faster than you.
Yeah, but you might have a chance of going away.
You can get out of that a little.
Yeah. Depends on how low the screen are when they froze. Also, when they come off the bottom of the screen, they always come back in the top of the same trajectory and position as they went off the bottom, so you can kind of predict where they're going to come through. Or if you want to try to catch them with a shot before they start, moving back and forth again.
But other than that, there was definitely the don't die suggestion being made quite a bit for how to do better in the game.
A wee bit of sarcasm.
Even if based in truth.
It's true for most games, don't die, but some games it's an advantage. We were actually talking about that the other day.
Yeah, 0 hour. There's
on
certain
0 hour,
screens that
you
it's
can-
actually advantageous to kill yourself to get the.
It's an
extra time.
advantage to kill yourself on some screens. You get off them quicker. But yeah, so I don't know. Anybody else have anything to say about this game? It was a good one. I enjoyed it. It was nice and close to the arcade game.
Yeah, I greatly enjoyed the arcade game when it first came out too, because I mean I was used to Galaxy and stuff, but Phoenix had enough different things, like the fact that you can wound a bird like on the third and fourth levels, where you can like shoot a wing off, and if you shoot both wings off, it reverts to an egg briefly, so that it's not firing at you anymore or dive bombing you. So,
and a lot easier to kill the eggs than it is to kill the birds.
Yeah, one other tip I would say is, especially on the third and fourth screens, is don't just sit there and hammer the fire button. Pick your shots, because then you can take care of them a lot faster. At least that's what I remember doing back in the day.
Yeah. Also, when you shoot a wing off, it makes them easier to hit. And when you're all the way left and all the way right, they can't shoot. They can't hit you.
Well, they can hit you. They can't shoot you.
Well, yeah, they can't shoot you when they're going back and forth across the top. I mean, as they're flying down, they can shoot you, but as they're going back and forth across the top, they can't shoot you.
Yeah.
Hey, good game.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have time to participate. I didn't even have enough time to watch the rest stream. I was planning on trying to get back, and I just work was too much, so I couldn't.
Yeah, I was given a recommendation by the Game on High Challenge, or the Game on High Council. When you show up at CoCoFEST, we're supposed to tie you down and take all the games that are be played for the next year, and you're to make a video and gameplay of each one so that we have them throughout the year.
Actually, I wouldn't mind doing that, because that's probably the only real time I'll have to play them. So,
oh, great! So I have to pick games for the next year. Oh.
No, the Game On Challenge High Council has to pick them for the next year.
Oh, yes, right.
So that's Sloopy. Okay, get on it, Sloopy.
So
whoa! Don't accuse me. I get in enough trouble by myself.
And Erico did actually play one of his higher scoring games during the stream. I think he played right through the stream and after it, didn't he?
So he actually showed some of the challenge stages in there.
Yeah, his 39,000 point game was he tried streaming, but for some reason the stream wasn't coming through, and it was just showing the spinning squares. But he tried, and but his earlier attempts. I think it was like a 20,000 point and a low 30,000 point score that it does show on the stream.
And one of the reasons that he did that good was because that was his favorite game when he was younger. Him and his brother played it, I think he said, didn't he? So
yes,
he had a lot of practice playing the game, so he knew all the tips and tricks.
Yeah, he was a pro.
Yeah, so he was the ringer for the day.
Cool. Oh, good game.
And then, as we said, next week is going to be CoCoFEST. So I have chosen 2 games to play over the next 2 weeks. And the first one, sticking with the...
Color scripts it.
Oh, you're ruining my thunder, Sloopy. No. The first one, sticking with the arcade ports, is here.
Oh, Paper Route.
Yep. Based on the arcade game Paper Boy. So, show you the title screen there, so everybody see what the actual game is called. So Paper Route, we'll try it out.
That's a bit of a hack screen, isn't it?
A little bit.
I think
7 million points. I'm not going to get into the top 10.
No, well, I'm not going to get into the top 4. I can pretty much guarantee that.
I like Jim Rye's comment. He says, "Oh, good, I get to do my old job for entertainment."
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
And I can already see.
Except the
You
fun
don't
thing
get
in
to-
that is you always got fired from your old job if you winged somebody in the head with a newspaper. This one you get points.
Sorry, Rick, what were you saying?
I can already see you can't just run down the left side of the sidewalk to cheat the game. There are versions of this where you can do that.
And the second game that we're going to play, just to get people into, I don't know, how do you say it, the mood for going to CoCoFEST, we're going to revisit a classic.
What's this? I've never seen it before.
What's the real game?
I think this one's called Close Encounters of the Couch Kind, isn't it?
This was a game?
That's Curtis's car. That's the couch that we're hopefully not going to hit.
And if you can see on the right beside the right tire, front tire there, you can see Ken's airbag going off. So,
So that of course, is Nightmare Highway.
now, a question for you, Ken. I know we haven't discussed this before or with anybody.
Yeah.
I would like to see, and I don't know who can host it at the fest, but I would like to see a couple CoCo set up with these two games because some of the people that go to the fest don't get on the show, etc. And just see what kind of scores they can have. And maybe, they can take a picture with their phone there and play it live at the show and see if we can get some other people like interested in the game on challenge. And then maybe they can start, regularly attending the streams.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll need to find some people with some CoCo setup that wouldn't mind doing that. Jason?
Yeah. Or even an emulator if you have a proper joystick, etc.
Yeah, and have a emulation setup. Because the majority of the people that on the live show are using emulators. So having an emulator set up in addition to a real computer would also be a good idea.
Yeah,
and,
I'm guessing, at least in my case, I think it's probably for quite a few other people that use emulators on the live streams is because we don't have the hardware to actually stream into a PC or something to do off of the real hardware.
Right.
But yeah, I'd love to see that because we've done some game playing stuff at some past CoCoFest and even Rainbow Fest back in the day. But to have the two official games in this case, and probably every CoCoFest will do two because it's a 2-week period. I'd love to see that where people can live play the games and kind of see how they compete with the diehards that actually attend our streams.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see what I can do about having a computer set up with one of the games.
Cool.
If not a computer,
you've heard it here. If you would like to have a setup at if you have a booth, then, or even if you don't have a booth, if you can set a computer up at somebody's booth too.
Yep. We can even do it after hours. Like if people's computers are dedicated to running their booth displays, et cetera, like after the show is officially over, waiting for like the Saturday supper or something, fire up a few of these games on multiple machines and just let people go. And then, just take screenshots as we go and have them submitted to the Buy Score Challenge for the following week.
So the Saturday supper, is that before or after David Ladd's in the pool?
God, I hope it's.
He's not even here to defend himself either.
Well, if he's going to be in a Speedo, I hope it's before he after. I don't know.
I hope it's foggy.
Worse, losing your
how
about your food.
How about he goes to the pool on Tuesday?
If I know I'm going to see David Ladd in a Speedo, I might be trying to hit couches on the way down there on purpose, Ken. So. I also should mention, too, for anybody who wants to do any hosting of machines at the show, that both of these games will run on a CoCo 1, 2, or 3. So no CoCo 3 required.
What's the memory requirement?
Paper route is 64K, and a joystick Nightmare Highway is 16 or 32K. I don't think it's 64.
We knew the author of Nightmare Highway. We could ask him.
Or Jason, do you know off the top of your head?
Related to the
I
author.
don't know off the top of my head. I think it's 16K. I think so, but that just to clarify, that's my brother, not me, but I think it's 16. But
yes,
I'm sure I could make a call if I have to.
Yeah, there's a rumor going around that you know him or something.
Yeah,
that is a vicious rumor.
He knows of
it's a lie.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Yeah, I thought I was told that you met him back in the 90s or something once or twice.
Also, Alan mentioned the chatter too. You can also play with XRAW online. So if we just want to take a modern machine and fire up a browser, they can do it that way. And you can also show it off on tablets and phones using the Archives Play Now feature, because it actually will run it even on a browser on a tablet or phone. So I don't know if I'd want to try to play some of these games on a phone. That's probably a bit too small of a screen, and trying to use these swipe.
So whose phone do we all hotspot to?
I just thought it would be kind of fun to try to do that live. Like we did it a little bit a couple years ago, because I know we were randomly playing games, and then people could write their name on a whiteboard type thing, what their score was, and then somebody else would come afterward and race them with great vigor and happiness as they beat their score, etc. So
that was great until they found the marker that wasn't dry erase.
So I remember, if I remember correctly, we were playing Zaxxon or something, and I got a pretty decent score and put it up, and like 10 seconds later, Jacob Moore came over and erased it and like tripled my score. So that'd be fun.
Young whippersnapper.
Yeah, he's young and got reflexes. Wisdom doesn't help, unfortunately, on arcade games. Oh, maybe a little bit.
I guess we should also mention that there is a link in the chat now of where you can go to get Nightmare Highway if you do not already have it.
Cool. So they can practice in the meantime.
I'm not even sure that Nightmare Highway is on the archive, is it?
The original version might be.
There's a free version, and then there's a
paid.
The Power of Terry bonus version.
Yeah, the Power of Terry CoCoFEST edition, which is
got a little bit of a extra bonus in it. So
right.
But either version is fine for submitting scores.
Right. If you get the paid version, you have a slight advantage.
A slight advantage, but not huge. You can get a few more points.
Very, very, very slight.
Okay. Well, thanks for picking out those two games there. Have you got plans for the next few here? Are you kind of winging it every week, or do you need more suggestions from the public?
Oh, I'm always good for a few suggestions. I'm mostly winging it. I have a few in the backup file of games to play if I can't come up with something at the last minute. But
and if people do want to send suggestions, is there a list of what we've already covered, and also where should they send the suggestions to?
They can just message me in Discord. I'm under Canadian Retro Things on there. I always post an updated list almost every week of the games that we've played to this point. But just because we played a game, if there's enough requests for it, we can play a game again. I mean, we're 116 or 17 games in now, so.
Oh, there's still more to cover.
Oh, there's still lots to cover, but
and a lot of them
definitely
aren't.
some of the gems of the CoCo we've played already, and if people are wanting to, and we've also played Nightmare Highway before.
Have we played all the games on Curtis's website yet?
No, and I've still got as many more games to add when I get time. So, and there's new games coming out every year too. So I mean it's a non-move. It's like a moving target.
Yeah,
I would prefer not to cover.
Out.
Yeah, I would prefer not to cover ones we've already covered quite yet, because we're only like literally 1/10 into the library.
Well, yeah,
but yeah, for special occasions like
occasions like this.
Yeah, because this is the first CoCoFEST where us Canadians can even make it down. So
exactly.
Yeah, how he's
so we're just praying we're not going to hit any couches.
Yeah, geese maybe, but not couches.
Oh, we've got plenty of Canadian geese down here. You can take some back with you if you want.
Oh, we got plenty up here too. Trust me. Even the pelicans are back here at the river. So
they probably don't have the proper documentation to get over the border. So
yeah, have to wear masks. That's what they'll have to do.
And that quarantine for bird flu and COVID.
Yeah, actually, that's hitting us pretty hard up here too.
Yep. We just had a bylaw put in that you have to bring in all your bird feeders.
Yep, we did. We got that passed too. Anyway, I think that's it for the Game On Challenge. So did you want to run a commercial before we get on to the Game On news and the regular news?
Yeah. Hang on, I'm coming.
I'm sorry.
Wake up from your nap, host.
Somebody get Mark B a coffee, please.
Yeah.
Can we get craft services over here?
Okay, I'm back here. I'm back. Commercial, you say?
Yeah, and then we'll go on to the Game On news and the regular news.
Okay.
Good morning, Coco Land. This is Brian Schubring with Music Man. here at the CoCoFEST. Having fun, fixing issues, and making things roll, and making lots of sound. Have a great day, guys.
The music is back. The MIDI Maestro available now, only from Retro Innovations. Go the number 4 retro.com.
As you're enjoying CoCoTALK, we also want to remind you about the CoCo Discord server. This is a place where people come to connect, to ask questions, to provide answers, to share information, and to socialize. So when you're done, why don't you head on over to the CoCo Discord server and we'll continue the conversation there. The easy to remember link is discord.cocotalk.live. See you on Discord.
Let the Radio Shack TRS-80 put the world of color computing into your home. Instant loading program packs turn any color TV into an exciting game arcade. And there's more. The color computer is an educational aid, a home management tool, an up-to-the-minute electronic information service. The programmable, expandable TRS-80 color computer from $399 only at Radio Shack, the biggest name in little computers.
At Gsoft, we make games for the TRS-80 color computer, TRS-80 MC10, and Dragon computers. Our basic games cover the range of genres from arcade, to text adventures, to simulations, to 3D dungeon crawls. This is our latest puzzle game from Japan, Fruit Panic. So come on and drop by our website and download our latest games.
Greetings, YouTubers. Atari Leaf here, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
Now, everybody's favorite segment, the Game On News.
Take it away,
Alrighty.
Curtis.
Okay, I'll be doing a bit of screen hopping here, just to warn you guys. Nick Morendes was going to help me with one thing, but he hasn't made the show today, so. Okay, guys, seeing that?
Sibling rivalry.
Yeah, so Tim and AJ, of course, are doing their weekly series, Sibling Rivalry, and last week they released, a little bit too late for me to get it in the news from Mark, but they did their color computer Castle Guard. And now this is a game, and there's been a few others like this in the past we've done before too. This is a game where it has single player and double player modes, and it really doesn't play well as a single player game. It's kind of the computer's a little bit too good, basically, is what happens. And basically, it's not that much fun. It's much more fun when you get two people, because, of course, you can swing. You're trying to like deke the other person out where you're going to let go and let the fireball go, and you might accidentally hit your own castle and sink it down. So it's basically based on the old Warlords game from Atari. But in two-player mode, this game's actually a lot of fun. And graphically, this doesn't quite do it justice. But the artifacting colors, this is one of the games that Tandy put out that actually used all the extra artifacting colors with the crossheads, where you get yellows and purples and all kinds of things, which aren't fully showing up here on the video. But it's a game that if you have somebody physically with you to play, it's a lot of fun. If you're just playing it solo, it's kind of dull and boring. And of course, they usually have their witty banter going back and forth, insulting each other, etc., which is great. They also just released yesterday an Atari 2600 game, which actually bears a bit of resemblance to a game that Terry Steen we had on during his interview. So they did the Atari 2600 version of Outlaw, which is basically two gunfighters on either side. And that's based on the same arcade game that Terry Steen's Gunfighter was based on, that we covered during the Terry Steen interview. So you got that one to look forward to as well. So thanks for... Now, does anybody know, is Tim or AJ making it down to the fest? I know they were kind of talking about it at one point. I didn't catch last week if they mentioned anything to any of you guys or anyone.
Last week,
I think they just if I understood what they were saying properly, it almost sounded like they were going to be there, but I can't say for 100% sure.
Okay. Anybody else?
Last I checked with Tim a couple weeks ago, he was I think he was trying to see if he can get time off from work. He has kind of a new job.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be great to have them down there to actually have a little, like, since we're having a Game On challenge, we're going to try to do some of that stuff live at the show there. It'd be fun to have them there too, maybe even doing the same games that we're going to be participating in, and having them swear back and forth at each other live would be awesome. That'd make for a great live stream, I'm figuring. The rest of us can join in too. So anyway, go check out the episode there. It's a lot of fun. You can see they're having fun here on the screen too. So it's one of those games, works great as two-player, not so much as a single.
Yeah, I would pay for the rum in their coconuts to watch them play live.
Next up, we got a batch of Jim Gary games here. He's been busy. He took a few weeks off there a month or two back, and he's definitely making up for it. So the first one here is called Star Traders by Dave Kaufman. This is an updated version from David's original 1973 basic space trader simulation game. So this is an old program, pre-microcomputer type thing. So Jim has added some little low-res graphics and stuff in here too to make it a bit, more advanced than the original text-based terminal that it was. And then there's tons of versions of these games for, pretty well every computer. But you can see here he's added a little bit of, graphics up in the corner there, and nice little formatting with inverse video, et cetera, too. So if you're into these simulation type games, and these were kind of popular in BBSs and stuff at the time, especially the multiplayer ones you could take turns on. This is going back to the, one of the first ones that came out for this type thing, like the original Star Trek. Next one he did here is a Bubble Bobble graphic demo. Now, there's two parts. There's one, he's drawing a pretty cool looking simulation in low res of one of the characters from the Bubble Bobble arcade game. But two, he's actually using a compression technique here. So these actually get compressed into strings that are shorter than the screen itself, or the size of the shape itself. So it's actually got data compression built into it too. It doesn't go the quickest, but if you wanted to fit more shapes into the limited memory of an MC10, if you only had a 4K or the 20K expansion instead of the newer 32K ones, you could actually fit more graphics in here. So I'll run this one here. And this was originally done on, I can't remember the name of the person that did it, but it's been done on a different platform entirely. You kind of ported it over here. So that's one of the characters from the Bubble Bobble arcade game, for those of you that are familiar with it. But if you take a look at the code there, that's kind of got these little hourly compression type strings at the top there. So the amount of data you would normally have to have in strings to make that would be multiple lines long. And this compresses it quite well. So you could actually fit some pretty decent looking graphics. Unfortunately, because of the decompression, it's not that fast. So I don't think you'd be drawing like, arcade games using this technique. But if you wanted to do some, graphical adventure games type thing, you could compress your scenes and actually fit quite a few scenes, even in a 16K expanded machine. Next, artificial intelligence noughts and crosses. We covered noughts and crosses, but basically X's and O's not too long ago when he did it. But this is a new version that he's converted over, originally by Trevor Lusty in Practical Computing magazine in September of 1979. Now, this version actually is a version that has some early AI programming. So it doesn't just have a set bunch of rules that it tries to play against you, like that you play against a computer. But it also actually learns as it goes and kind of learns better techniques as you keep playing. So it gets smarter and smarter. So it's a very early 1979 AI one. based program that actually is converted over to the MC10 too. So I think for those of you who want to learn like the origins of AI, it'd be pretty interesting just to go through the listing to see how he's programmed it, how the original programmer programmed it to do the artificial intelligence and learning as it goes. And because it's trying to show like how it learns too. It's like an 11-minute gameplay video. So obviously I'm not going to play the whole thing here. And next up, he's got a one-liner basic program here. And this is converted from a C64 game. And there's the one line. That's not even a full line. It's actually only using about half of it. Now, is there another one-liner programming contest going on right now? Is that why he's doing this? Does anybody know? I haven't had a chance to pay attention to the one-liner website lately to see if they've got a new competition going on at the moment. And it looks to be one of those, steer between obstacles type thing, a basic. But judging by the fact he's using peaks and stuff, I'm guessing he's actually got like key repeat and stuff enabled instead of tapping the key, but I haven't tried it yet to make sure. But not bad for 100 bytes of code, basically. Okay, the next one, I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to save one for last here.
Those really don't look like couches.
They're couches after they've been splatted already. They're kind of seeing the flattened version.
They're ottomans.
They're after Terry's been through.
They're ottomans. I like that. Reminds me of the Bare Naked Ladies song. Okay, next up we've got Paris Surratt and Kees Van Os have released the next AGD conversion pack, number 55. And this is the second one of these that support the new additions to the engine they've done for doing mini sprites, because normally there was a fixed size sprite. And now they have the ability to do smaller sprites, but you can have more of them and still run at a decent speed. So they've got 6 more games converted over. So there's Armored Side A, Armored Side B, Frantic Pengo, Road Trippin' 2 Coast to Coast, The Castle of Dr. Game, and UFO Invaders. And I'm not sure why. Like, he normally has been posting on these with screenshots on the Dragon form, but now he's been lately doing it on RetroWiki, which is not a native English site. So it's a little bit harder to read for some of us English speakers. Hopefully he starts picking him back up on the Dragon form as well. But I'll throw you some screenshots here. So this is the intro screen for Armored. And the instruction screen basically there. And then some of the gameplay with some of these smaller sprites that are running around. So Ken, here's some more games for you to try. For the Game On Challenge at some point. That's Armored Part 2, which definitely looks like a sequel. The Castle of Dr. Game. Once again, with a bunch of the smaller sprites running around. This is Frantic Pengo. So it looks like it's kind of like using some of the shapes from like Pac-Man. It looks like ghosts and stuff there, but I think it's the same gameplay as Pengo. I haven't tried this one yet, but basically push the ice blocks and crush the monsters with it. And then, various patterns for each level. Road Trippin' 22 Coast to Coast. So this is how some people arrive at CoCoFEST on little mopeds. And with a big backpack carrying their CoCo. So this might be applicable like a Network Highway style game. This one looks a bit more intriguing. Like, I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on here. If you have to like navigate between the platforms and maybe open those little doors or pits or whatever they are to go to the levels above and below. So this is one I'll have to try when I get some time. And then UFO Invaders, which is basically Space Invaders with the smaller sprites. So that game pack is available for the Dragon, available for the CoCo, converted from the Spectrum. 48K Spectrum in particular, using their AGG game design engine. So you can go grab those. Now, Taylor and Amy's show put out another video today, or just a couple days ago, and they got into character on this one. So they're covering the Ghostbuster game, which was available on multiple platforms. They don't have all the platforms it was available on, so they did the Atari 2600 version, which actually had problems getting it to run. But then they played the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64 version. The C64 version is far better than the Spectrum version because it has a SID chip for multi-voice background music, better graphics, etc., sprites. And then they played a CoCo 2 version. Now this kind of, I was talking to Nick Marentes about this, and we're going, what Ghostbusters the CoCo 2? That game was never ported to the CoCo 2. So they managed to somehow find a basic game that somebody had written of Ghostbusters. So of course it's not even close to the arcade. And it's quite slow and not as graphically impressive as any of the other versions type thing. But the fact that they did it with their uniforms on in character was awesome. So definitely go check this video. It's hilarious. And the CoCo version at the end here is basically just like I said, it's a basic game. They tried playing it. Of course, it doesn't bear much resemblance to the arcade game, but not a bad try. They did some semi-decent graphics for just writing it in basic type thing. So. And it's a fun video to watch, and of course we're great fans of their show. And they usually pop into chat and say hi for us too. In fact, I think they just did. Someday we have to get you guys or you two out to a fest too. I think here, costume optional. Next up, we have a channel I've not heard of before. He's going through Dungeons of Daggerath, and this is the first of a series of videos he's planning to do. This is level 1, the basics. Loco Lobo the 13th. I'm not quite sure where he came from, but he's also not running like the stock Daggerath. He's actually got kind of some additionals to it. Now I haven't played the PC one in a while, so I can't remember what extra options were on there or if it had this kind of a copyright message on it. But it actually had some extra stuff like you can type help to get help with the keys in the game itself. And now I know William Astle Lost Wizard has done some modifications to Daggerath. So does anybody know if he had a help system built into the CoCo version, or if the I think it was Mark Spencer did the PC port of it, if that was built in there too. I haven't played either of those in so long I don't remember. Does anybody else remember?
I think the updates that William Astle did were just like some fixes or some glitch things that were cleaned up, because he has the straight disassembled code, and then he has like some with some patches for bugs, but I don't think there's been any additional features added.
Okay, because this one here, like when he actually starts the game up and gets off the demo screen, it actually says type H, then enter for help. That's not part of the original Daggerath at all. You had to be a real man and, or woman and actually read the manual to figure out all the commands. So
just have the manual in front of you the whole time.
Well, you get used to it after a while. I didn't need the manual after a while, but if you're just coming at it, raw and you've never played the game before, you need to learn
that is
the commands.
Somewhere nearby.
But he kind of does it as a tutorial play. Like he's kind of describing, some of the stuff he learned because he used to play this back in the day. In fact, he mentions in the comments that he was like 8 years old roughly when he started playing it back in the day. And now he's been playing it again. And his goal is to actually go through the whole game and win it, which I don't think he's actually done. He's killed the fake wizard once before, I believe. So he's been on to like level 4, but I don't think he's killed the final wizard before. And that last ring to incant to win the game, you have to have a pretty decent dictionary to figure out what the incantation is. But I mean, Daggerath's a classic. I mean, you talk to almost every programmer on the CoCo that wrote games, even if they don't play them. This is the exception. Most of them played this game. It's still one of the best CoCo unique games, and good enough that it's been ported to the PC. Now, the last one's a little bit sad. This is an update from Glenn Hewlett. He's been working on the Robotron port, and now he's stopped. As he called it, this is the last update. He's gotten tired, burned out of working on it. He's still got, like, he didn't get all the sound in there yet. He's got some slowdowns. Now, Robotron, I was kind of suspecting that would happen because Robotron's pretty intense, especially on later levels. There's a ton of stuff moving on the screen, tons of sprites. So I'm not surprised that he couldn't quite get it up to snuff. But basically, he's burned himself out. He says, I don't want to do it anymore. But he has released the disk image, and it's basically playable. I mean, not all the sound effects are there. There's a few graphic glitches, like there's some inverse blocks that show up every once in a while. It slows down and stutters in certain places where there's a ton of stuff going on. But basically, the entire game is playable. I mean, you can actually download the disk image from his GitHub and grab it. When I get a little bit of time after the fest, so probably maybe June-ish or something, I might take a look to see if I can, because he's going to send me the source code at that point, and I'll see if I can figure out some things to optimize it. Or I might just say, you know what, let's make this 6 or 9, just kick it in native mode. That'll give me an extra 10 to 15%, and then see if there's any bugs I can fix and maybe get it up to speed. So you might need a 6 or a 9 if I do get a chance to take a look at it to run it full speed. So that's what I'm hoping to do. Or if I'm lucky enough, I can figure out some optimizations. Glenn's pretty good at optimizations, so I don't know how much I'd find. I found a few little tiny things in Defender when he sent me the source, but they weren't huge. So the slowdowns he's talking about here, because of how many sprites are on the screen, I'm guessing those little bits, if I do find any, probably won't be enough. But it might be a 6 or 9 native mode game, which is what Nick's been doing for stuff like 0 Hour and stuff, and it actually does play a fair bit smoother. So we'll shoot for that. But I did want to show. Now Nick Randy's was supposed to be on the call here today to do the demo for me, so I don't have to switch through windows here. But I will just, because those of you who have not seen it.
He just didn't wake up this morning.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Well, I know he was catching a cold or something too, so he was feeling a little bit ill when I talked to him yesterday, I think it was, so he wasn't sure. But let me share the screen here. Whoops. Trying to remember where keys are on emulators, depending which emulator you're running. And as usual, he has a splash screen in low res, actually try to duplicate the font from the original arcade game like he did with Joust Defender, which is always cool. I use that dzip routine, I think, too, to compress it because the sound effects and samples and stuff are quite huge. And he tries to get his games to fit on a single disk image. And my VCC just crashed. So I may not be able to demo it. So maybe try a different version of VCC, maybe. I won't be able to play the game because it requires 2 joysticks, just like the arcade game did. And I don't have 2 joystick adapters for my Mac here to even attempt that. But I'm hoping just to let the demo run, which will show you a little bit of the graphical glitches, as well as the basically the game running. Heard some banging. Somebody doing something? If this doesn't work, I'll just have to skip it for now. One thing he mentions, I'll just talk about what's loading here. I'll quote his blog post. So he says, the main thing I was fighting with the game was some slowdowns that occur in the game when there are tons of enemies firing at you. It doesn't exactly seem like it's a problem with the CoCo 3 drawing the sprites. It seems to slow down and then speed up even when the same amount of shots are on the screen. It might be some, it crashed again. Okay, I guess I can't show you the live one. Oh, well. It might be some code that is looping more at certain times when the enemies are firing something else. I've done many things to try and figure it out, but I decided it's going to have to be like that. So like I said, I'll take a stab at it a little bit later and see if I can figure out a way to get it to run. Maybe putting it in 6 or 9 native mode might actually be enough, but we'll have to find out. But I won't be doing any of that until well after the fest. Plus, I'm trying to get the next Nitrous 9 out. I'm supposed to get back on the pet ski, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that's it for the Game On news for this week. Did you want me to go straight into the regular news, or
Sure,
do you
why
want a
not?
little blurb in front of it or something?
Okay, here we go.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on news with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
All right, the Muppet's done.
It's done?
Yep, the Muppet's done.
Okay. Okay, you guys seen that? Okay, cool. Okay, so first up, David Irish posted in the Color Computer Facebook group and a discussion that has kind of happened before, probably a couple of years ago, but basically he's proposing doing a Raspberry Pi project using the Twister OS. And basically what he wants to do is he wants to do the equivalent of what if Tandy had kept the CoCo going, but using modern hardware. So he wants kind of a programming environment feel that is similar to what the CoCo might have progressed to, but using more modern tools, more modern operating systems, more modern basics. And I know this has been discussed and done before. And I don't think he was around for the original discussions on this because a lot of people said, well, if you want to do that, why don't you just pick a modern platform period that, has pretty easy programming type style or more of a basic style for the CoCo or similar to the CoCo, and just do that rather than trying to reinvent it by taking these utilities and languages he's talking about, and then tweaking them to look more CoCo-like. And then, of course, there's also the argument, if you just need speed to make an arcade game on a CoCo using, faster graphics than normal, you can just overclock an emulator and do the same thing. So this has been something that's been discussed numerous times. But it's interesting for those who have not seen that kind of discussion before. You can get involved in discussion here on Facebook. And I mean, the one thing that I've seen is that when people have come up with this idea before, is that they don't usually follow through and finish it off. So if he actually did do that, it might be kind of interesting. And I know Stevie's even talked about it. Like he's got that, what's included with the Raspberry or the Cocoa Pi now, I think it's QBasic 64 or something like that, which is kind of Stevie going off in that direction of, getting something that was based on a Microsoft Basic. So it's fairly familiar to people that have run Microsoft Basic before. It's also structured Basic. So it's more similar to Basic 9. So if you're coming from that side of things, it also feels somewhat familiar. So it's kind of going along the same route, but he gives his thoughts on this. There's been some pretty good discussion on it already here too, so feel free to join in. Next up, we have a follow-up video and post by Brendan Donaghy. So what he's been doing, we announced a couple weeks ago, is that he's working on extensions to BASIC if you have a 64K CoCo 1 or 2 to make new BASIC commands that will let you access a lot of the features on the CoCo VJ, including programmable character sets, switching palettes, switching to 64 by 32 column mode, switching your upper lowercase, etc. So he's made version 2 of this, or 0.2, I should say. And he does a little demo here of some of the stuff that he's actually got it running. Now, it's a pretty long video. It's 7 minutes long, so I'm not going to play the whole thing here. You'll have to go check it out with the links in the news topics group in the Discord. But he also has an available downloadable disk image now that you can grab off of his site as well, that actually has the disk image with the patches to BASIC and some demo programs showing how to use it. So to grab that, you can go here, and it's the very first thing listed right here. And he's actually got documentation you can download as well, giving a list of all the commands and how they work, what the parameters are. I will play a little bit of this here just to kind of show a little bit of it in action. So you can see some of the basic stuff there, the actual utility to add the commands to BASIC, and then some actual sample programs to do it. And here you can see he's already fiddled with some of the palette things and palette animations and stuff there too.
The semi-graphics got wiped out by basically walking through all of the palette slots, replacing all of them except one with gray, right? And the one that's not is cyan. And sort of does a tumbling semi-graphics.
So what is happening here, in case it's not obvious from looking at it, the animation of those little semi-graphics characters going across is not actually being redrawn. That's just palette changes. So he's actually created, multiple color slots, drawing all these different things, and then he's just rotating through the palettes. And it's the same type of animation you'd be doing in like Color Max 3 Deluxe or Coco Max 3 type thing, where you can, or even in BASIC for that matter, where you can animate, rocket flames or moving ships just by drawing the shapes next to each other in different colors. And then you set them all to black or whatever your background color is. And then you just start, the first one, I'll turn it on to whatever color. The second one, I'll turn it on to that same color while shutting the first one off. And it makes it look like it's moving without having to redraw anything at all. So you can do very, very fast animations on this. And 0 Hours used this in certain spots and a lot of Nick's games. If you remember in Popstar Pilot, the water animation when you're on level 4, for those of you who've seen it, where the water levels are going up and down, that actually is totally with palette. He's just changing black to blue depending on how far or how many scan lines down the screen it is. He's not redrawing any of that at all. So that type of technique I remember when the CoCo 3 first came up, because we were kind of hitting the limits of BASIC as far as how fast you can get graphics to go. And the CoCo 3 was looking like, when we first heard about it, okay, you've got a new high-res screen. It's got 16 colors. It's higher res, and it's got like 4 or 5 times the memory to draw. We've got a double speed CPU. So I'm going to gain twice as much speed. I'm going to lose 500% because now I got so many graphics to draw. There's so much memory to write to. Well, the palette animation made up a lot of that, because basically that took like one poke or palette command itself, and voila, you could literally change every pixel on the screen. If they're all the one color, it'll instantly change everything of that color to a different color. And you can do all kinds of animation and flashing techniques and lightning strikes and all kinds of things very, very easily. And a lot of people, if you look in the 86 to 88 rainbows in particular, there's a lot of people that did that. I remember Rick Adams and Dale Lear did a palette animation, I think in October 86 issue. So just after the CoCo 3 came out, they already had palette animations going on. So it's really cool that Brendan is not requiring people to learn machine language or how to interface with machine language routines. He's just adding new commands to BASIC. So if you have a CoCo VGA, you can just run this little program first, and then your game can run with redefined character sets and palettes and all kinds of things. So he's making it much easier for these programmers to access a lot of the power of the CoCo VGA. So I'm really looking forward to this project continuing on. And as he adds new features to the CoCo VGA, you just add in some more basic commands. So highly recommend it if you have a CoCo VGA. Next up, I will mute this and let Ken talk about what's going on here.
Okay. Oh, that's my video. Okay. Yeah. So basically, just to get into the mood for our talk that we're doing at CoCoFEST next week, I did a beginner's introduction to doing some simple graphics in Basic 09 using some of the GFX2 commands, making a graphics screen, the different types of graphics screens that you can make, and yeah. So I don't know, that's the video that I did, drawing some simple shapes like lines, squares, circles, a little house.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to do that too. I mean, there's a couple of different ways to do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is by far the easiest because you can type in commands in English. You can go slightly faster, like if you're really trying to optimize speed on something, by predefining byte arrays and putting in the right values for the escape code sequences. But that's a lot harder to remember. You have to memorize all the stupid commands, like a 1B24 is a DWN. Because I'm a complete nerd geek, I do remember these stupid things. But for normal people,
this is a beginner's guide to how to do this. So.
Yeah, but this is also much easier to remember. So, I mean, people who want to get their feet wet doing this, because I mean, once you get into the manual for Basic 09 for the graphics commands, and we'll be going through at our seminar, as Ken mentioned earlier in the show, that we'll be showing some of the extra stuff that's in EOU and Nitrous 9 that wasn't in the original Basic 09 manual and wasn't in the original OS 9 at all. There's new graphics commands, there's stuff for doing menu handling, all kinds of things. It's actually quite powerful. I mean, you can do windowing with it. You can do different areas of the screen where scrolling is contained within the screen. All that stuff's built in. You can change for like the flood fill or a filled circle command or a filled box command or something like that. You can actually have it do patterns. You don't have to do just strict colors. You can tell it to do crosshatch or diamonds or something like that and have it fill in. You can even create your own patterns. You can customize it for whatever game or program you want to do. So there's an overlay windows and there's just all kinds of stuff. Now, what Ken and I will be concentrating on at the show will be stuff that's undocumented, because I wanted people to know there's all this new stuff added to it. Even though it's been out for years, a lot of people don't even realize it's there. And Ken, this particular series you're doing here, I think you're going to go through the stuff that both stock and then get into the extra stuff in later episodes too. So
yeah.
If any of you people want to maybe submit some questions for Ken or even myself on, I want to try to do this in Basic 09, a certain, graphical feature or, a certain technique or something, and you want to find out how to do it, maybe send us an email or send us a message on Discord and we can try to incorporate it into one of Ken's future videos, or maybe we'll start doing the live Basic 09 question and answer type sessions demonstrating stuff that we've been kind of talking about doing at some point.
You can even comment it in the videos that I've done. I do read the comments. So I have had a couple of questions that I've answered in there on how to do things. So.
And here's Ken learning about how the different contrasting colors work again.
Yeah, I love my contrasting colors.
I'm just going to find your little house there. That's not what I want to do. Is that your house? I can't even remember.
Yeah, that's the house. Although you might be.
I made too far
past it.
Yeah, there we go.
My pretty little house that I built.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, basically all the commands, if you're used to disk basic or extended color basic or super extended basic, basically all the commands that were there are present in Basic 9 in the GFX2 module. Some of the syntax is different. Some of the names are a little bit different. Some of them have extra options. There's a few that have less options. The draw command isn't quite as extravagant as the one in Basic, though it's pretty close. And there's other ways to do things. There's a lot of like relative commands. Like one thing in regular Basic is that you're giving it coordinates. So if you want to draw a box, you're telling it, go from this XY coordinate in the upper left corner to the lower right coordinate, XY coordinate there. Whereas on Basic 09 and Graphics 2, you have options of either doing absolute, which is you're specifying specific coordinates to start and end at, or you can do relative, where you can say, starting wherever your draw pointer currently is, I want a box that's 40 pixels wide by 40 pixels down. I don't want to figure out where the hell on the screen it is. And you have those options too. And I think you actually use the draw command to do that for the peak of your house here, because you just set a start point at the top peak of the house. And you just said, go draw relatively, go down diagonally to the left and then go down to the right, but it returns to the previous draw point automatically. So you don't have to sit there and like redo it again.
Yeah.
So you can actually shrink your code.
Also, then you don't have to figure out angles or anything. You just know, draw between these 2 points, boom, boom, goes back to where it started. You can draw the other side.
Yeah. So in the seminar, we'll be covering the new stuff that's been added in. I'll be covering a bit more of the technical side of things. So I'll be doing like the high level menu handling stuff, which is a bit more complicated, but not as bad as it was before. I will also be covering some of the things you have to worry about when you're multitasking. Because there's certain things you probably should think about a little bit differently if you're actually writing something to run in a multitasking operating system. One is to make it friendly to other programs. Like if you're pulling the keyboard constantly, you can suck a lot of CPU time because it's constantly reading in PIAs if you press the key yet, and it slows down other programs on the system. Well, technically, do you really need to read the keyboard more than 60 times per second? Probably not. So you can do techniques like do a quick little sleep call in between each read check. 1/60 of a second, put the program to sleep. That means other programs on the system suddenly speed back up because basically the CPU time is free. And every 60th of a second, it comes back to your program and then does it. It actually tries to read the keyboard again, but it's not doing it in a constant hard-coded loop, slowing everything down. So we'll be going into this, multitasking techniques like that, how get put buffers, because you're sharing them system-wide, that you can have. And a lot of the old programs in the very first couple of years of CoCo 3 came out actually did do this. They'd hard code their get put buffers. And you go, that's cool. I'm going to run this game here. It's a little simulation game. It takes a little bit of time to go between turns. So while it's busy doing whatever its space trading game is doing, I'll go to another window and play Shanghai or something else at the same time. And it would use the exact same get put buffers, which it totally redraws everything. So you go back to your Space Trader game, and now all the shapes are totally screwed up because of different sizes and different colors and different shapes and everything else. So there's little techniques that you wouldn't think of writing in Disk Basic because you're the only program running. What do I have to worry about? But there's little techniques like that I'll go through in the seminar too. Anyway, thanks for doing this series, Ken, and hopefully we can get a live version of this going at some point. We'll try to announce it at least a couple weeks ahead to give people time to come up with questions. Maybe they want to try a few things themselves, and then they hit a stumbling block and they can ask us live on the show. We can kind of go through it.
Mm-hmm.
That also includes you too, Ken. So if you had a stumbling block, or you're trying to do something you don't know how to do it, you can.
There's lots I don't know how to do.
Honestly, there's quite a bit I don't know how to do either. Like how to get the news segment done in a nice small amount of time. I have no idea how to do that. Bruce kind of covered this already here, but for those who have not seen it, this is the USB memory stick type thing that's actually in the form of a cassette, and you can see the USB thing just pops out of the bottom where the magnetic tape would normally be. And this is CoCo Forever, which has a multimedia radio show style presentation with a bunch of different episodes of an alternate history if Tandy had won the microcomputer wars. There's a lot of people on CoCoTALK and the rest of the CoCo community that are guests on this radio play. I can't remember how it was, 10, 11 episodes total originally. And there's multimedia stuff too. There's little basic programs you can run on the CoCo itself or an emulator that draw graphics or do different things. And as he mentioned on the show when he was on earlier, there's some bonus content that's never been seen before on here. So I'm kind of curious what that involves too. So first presentation of seeing what all that is going to be at the fest, and then it should be available for order for anybody that wants to get it. Next up, we have Brad Hartz. Now, Brad Hartz was going to visit a college, I think because of his daughter attending it or planning on attending or something like that. So I went to Taylor University, and they have a computer science and engineering department, and they actually have a CoCo 1 on display along with a few other machines. I complete with some manuals, the original box, the original RF modulator. So that was kind of interesting. I haven't seen that in the university before. And they have like a Mac over here too, and some other older stuff as well. So I don't know, for those of you who are near Taylor University, maybe go check it out. Next up, we have Jerry Stratton, which we haven't featured on the show for a fair bit of time here. So he's got a blog that he does, and he does a lot of cross platform style tools. He's done an alternative to the Rainbow Check Plus that Rainbow had published to be able to run. And this time he's actually doing a pre-flight tool enhanced. So he's done a pre-flight tool that was basically checking to make sure that, variable names, like if you scan an OCR, a Rainbow listing or a hot CoCo listing or something like that, sometimes it misreads characters and it'll try to figure out, if something's been mistyped. And this is an extension to that. This one actually checks to see if line numbers, if you have a go-to a line number, but it misread the scan and it tries to go to a line number that doesn't exist, it'll actually report these errors for you and give you a nice list of here's all the line numbers that are trying to be referenced that don't exist, or maybe vice versa, a line number that's there, but there's nothing ever calling to it and there's an end right before it, so you can never get there type thing. So he's got this little script here and he kind of goes through it because he actually found this when he was trying to type in Charles Susak's Quest of the Dragon's Gold. You can see the screenshot there from the August 1984 Rainbow. And line numbers are all over the place. And between some pages there, he found some where it didn't seem to make sense. It was, scanning as going to line numbers that don't exist. So he wrote this little additional to the utility here to go through and actually figure out and give you a list. And you can see a little sample here. If it's warning you here, this then to a non-existent line 350 and 250. So you can actually figure out where these bugs are and kind of figure out what went wrong. You can look at the original scan, just see if it was a bad scan, or maybe this did happen where Rainbow would publish programs that actually just didn't work and they'd have to publish a correction a couple months later. So this will narrow down where you have to look for them instead of trying to figure out why is this program not working correctly. So that's pretty cool. And you go download that utility right from his site here too. So next up, this was pretty interesting. Now, Fabian, I believe, is actually going to be at the Fest, if I remember correctly. And I think he's actually bringing this issue of Maximum PC, which is the current May 2022 one. And I guess they have a regular feature that is basically looking back at some retro computer that they do a couple pages on. And this month they did the TRS-80 Color Computer, the original Color Computer 1. I haven't read Maximum PC in years and years, so I had no idea they were doing this. So that's the cover of it. If you want to catch it, it might still be on the newsstands. And here's just kind of a quick shot. Now, if he brings it down to the Fest, I definitely want to take a look through it and just see how much they got right and how much they got wrong. And it's not just covering, an old computer, what it did back then, but also covers, if you want to try running it nowadays, what emulators are able. And the guy actually goes through VCC, where to get it and set it up, etc. So I'm looking forward to seeing this if I can bring it down. If anybody else is coming to the Fest and has this issue of Maximum PC magazine, please bring it down as well, because just in case he can't make it, I would love to still see the magazine. I don't know if we have Maximum PC sold here where I am anymore. I'd have to probably try and find a bookstore that still sells a lot of the computer magazines. Has anybody else actually gotten this magazine and read the article, or any review of it, or what you thought of it? Nope. On to the next story then. Okay, is her last name pronounced Mackie or Make? I'm not sure, Brenda. So please correct me if you hear this, Brenda, and let me know what the proper pronunciation is. But basically, she's using Rhino 3D, which is a 3D design tool for doing 3D printing. And she's working on a little box that'll screw to the bottom of the CoCo 3 with a short cable to save in the cable strain. Now, this is our cable strain. This will come out of the RGB connector on the underside of a CoCo 3. There's that little gap around there. And basically, it's just because if you're moving it around and taking it in, like if you're hauling it to a fest, for example, you're putting some strain when you're constantly unplugging and shifting stuff around here. So she wants this to be like a permanent mount, and then you just plug in this cable to come out. That's just a cable and doesn't have to be stretched around. So she's actually, I think, still doing some tweaking to it. It's kind of a work in progress as she continues to test it. And I'll keep an eye on it to see when she's got it finalized, because it sounds like she'll just put it up for download on Thingiverse. I was hoping Terry Steggy would be able to pop on for this one here, but unfortunately he's busy off having grandkids and the like. But there's a video here, but kind of covering the CoCo's cousin, the TDP 100. And the person actually has two of these. Now, these are obviously not the original keyboards. This is a CoCo 2 keyboard. And this is a CoCo 3 keyboard, which you can tell because it has the extra keys and the gray background, not the black that the deluxe CoCo keyboard had. But the original manuals, they have a Project Nebula cartridge in the TDP blue box, as well as the CoCo one that he compared it to. So he kind of goes through a little bit of it, the history of where he got his from, and a little bit of history between it and the CoCo one, how the TDP was kind of a marriage between the CoCo one and the CoCo 2. It has the F motherboard, the 285 board from the CoCo one, the later CoCo ones, so 64K. But we had switched to the white plastic and kind of starting to get towards the CoCo 2, and the CoCo 2 came out, about a year later, I think, if I remember correctly. Rick, I don't know if you remember or not, because I don't remember the exact dates. I know the CoCo 2 got announced in late summer of 1983. And I think the TDP was out in late 82, if I remember. But Terry Steggy's our local resident TDP expert. So Terry, please correct me on everything I just said wrong. And maybe comment on his video, because he's actually looking for some other people that have had TDPs, because it's a bit of a rare beast. And Terry's kind of our local expert. So Terry, if you see this, please go check out his video and maybe give him some comments, because he's looking to kind of meet up with some people. I've also invited him to come watch a show, and maybe we can have him on at some point too. He said he was not available this weekend, but he'll try to catch the live stream of the CoCoFEST stuff next week. It's a good 20 minutes long. So next up, we have Pedro Pena, known as Rocky Hill on YouTube. And this is only a 2-minute video, so I'll play the whole thing, but it's talking about getting easy HDMI out for the Color Computer 1 and 2 with this little adapter board he's made that plugs into the VDG socket. It still needs the RGB to HDMI required type thing. Well, I'll let him explain it. And let me know how the volume is for this if I need to turn it up.
If you have a CoCo and you want nice, clear, crisp HDMI out, you can use the RGB to HDMI solution right there. Hooking it up means soldering a bunch of wires, not many, to the VDG chip, which is the MC6847 right there. Now I've made a little adapter board that will allow you to just plug it in straight away. And here it is. And so I want to show how easy it is to install when your VDG is socketed, of course. So make sure that's in view there. First, I'm going to pull the VDG. Okay. I'm going to place it in the adapter. Okay. And I will place the adapter board where the VDG was. If I can get my fat fingers in there. Now it is a bit of a tight fit, but it's okay. Okay. Then you just plug in the 6-pin IDC connector. And then you should just have HDMI out when I power it on. And voila. Let's put in a game. Let's put in Megabuck. Okay. And look at that. You can see the RGB to HDMI adapter does artifacting, straight. It's fantastic. It looks very good, very crisp, very clean. If you have a
Anyway, that's a pretty cool project. The fact that you could just plug that little cable in, I think makes it a lot easier. If you have a socket to VG, you don't have to do all the soldering and extra stuff that would burn my hair off. So, but I have to say that it did look really crisp and clean. I didn't see any artifact, not artifact colors, but the actual artifacting you get, some kind of the wavy patterns and stuff like that. It looks really crisp and clean. So it's a pretty good option for your CoCo 1 and 2.
And or Dragon 2, possibly.
Yeah, correct. Hi, welcome back, David. I know you had to step away for a bit. I will mention Brian Walsh in the chat just said too, I just got one of these from Pedro and they're great. So there's a plus from somebody who actually has one. And Mikey's apparently having a freezing picnic on the Atlantic Ocean shore. I would personally just eat inside at that point. But anyway. Now, this next episode, our next article here is a blog post by Joel Reese. Now, he currently, I believe, lives in Japan, and he speaks Japanese and he speaks English. Now, for those of you who know the history of the 6309, we first found out about it several years after a magazine called OFM, which is meant for the Fujitsu FM series of computers, FM7, the 77, which are all 6809 OS9 based computers, and some of them had multiple 6809s. So one drew the graphics and one did the main operating system, et cetera. There's a whole series of machines that came out that were using these. And OFM magazine is the first place that the hidden features of the 609 chip were actually discovered. Now, we had a very rough translation on the Usenet group back in 1992, early 92, which is when Kevin Darling did some tests to make sure that worked as advertised, and it did. And that's where Power Boost, Nitrous 9, all the stuff came from. Was from that one post. But nobody has taken the time to completely translate the original articles in OFM magazine itself, which is from the April 1988 issue where it first showed up. We didn't find out about it for 4 years after that. So what Joel's going to be doing is he's going to be translating it himself, using himself as the translator. Like he's just started the project. He's only doing it as he has time. So he's only got the first 2 paragraphs properly translated over. But he's got the Google translation of the rest of the article, of the main head of the article, not the actual technical details, that listing the instruction set, because we already know that stuff now. But he's going to gradually do it so it's more human. Because, I mean, Google Translate, you can get the gist of things, but it's not perfect. You'll get some weird, things mentioned in there. Certain words don't translate properly. But Joel will actually do this properly. So he's actually going through it and giving us, and this actually contains a bit of the history of how this whole thing was discovered and how they started figuring things out back in 88. And there's some stuff in there I've never heard before. So some of this history of the 6309 discovery is actually new even to me. And I've been working with this chip since 92 pretty constantly. So I won't go through the whole thing here. He's got his first 2 paragraphs here. And like I said, it's an ongoing thing. And here's the Google Translate of the rest of it, which is, I don't know what you call it, not quite English. So I won't go through the whole thing here. It's a good read, though, if you want to get the history of it type thing. But I thought I'd bring up a couple of different points, or actually a bit more than a couple, probably half a dozen, of things that I did not know before that might be new to some English speakers here for the history of 609. So first of all, I have a catalog that Hitachi put out. It's about 800 pages of all the chips they made from 1985. And they list the 609 as a coming out in the future type thing. So I never did know, when did this chip actually get released? Well, they do mention that in here because it was August of 1985. That's when Hitachi officially started the 609, which is actually a little earlier than I thought. The chip was used by multiple people to overclock the FM7s, 77s, FM11s, FM77AVs, and a whole bunch of other FM series that did this. The chip itself was rated 3 megahertz. We know that from the 63C09. That's what the Gimme X uses too, because it requires a 3 megahertz mode. And apparently quite a few of the people there would swap those in. Sometimes they'd swap it in as the main CPU. Sometimes they'd swap it in as the graphics coprocessor in charge. They'd speed up the graphics system because a lot of the other hardware couldn't run that fast, say PIAs, et cetera. But apparently quite a few of them actually doubled the original 2 megahertz clock speed and actually were running these at 4 megahertz without trouble. They didn't hit a single chip, from what I can tell from the original discussions on the Usenet post, that did not run at 4, and some of them would actually run up to 5. So it looks like this would reliably run at 4 megahertz as long as your supporting hardware can handle that. And then they got the history of like, how did they figure out that this had extra instructions? And this is something I've always wondered. I figured out some of the extra indexing modes, but I already knew the 609 had a bunch of extra stuff, so I knew to look. So how did they discover it? And the history of that is included in this article too, which has not been published before. So apparently there was a word processor in Japan called WPV3. And it stopped working when you put a 609, it would just crash. So they tried to start figuring out. First of all, they thought, like the people that found this were trying to run it at 3 megahertz or 4 megahertz. They thought, well, maybe it's a timing thing. Maybe it's trying to read a hardware like a keyboard or write to the screen or something that's running too fast. So they clocked it back down to 2 megahertz, which is what the native 6809 had done. No difference, crashed exactly the same way. So then they go, well, maybe there's something different on the chip, because they do know that, sometimes when you get a new version of a chip, there's certain illegal instructions that do weird things or undocumented instructions. The 689 has a few of those too. There's alternate ways to do like branches with different opcodes. So basically they thought, well, we'll try to figure out exactly what's causing the crash. And they narrowed it down to a transfer instruction. And a transfer instruction, basically what it does is it will transfer the contents of one register to another, one way. and you do something like a transfer X to D because you need to do some math on a X register, and there's not all the math features on the X register itself in the 609 instruction set. So, okay, so what they did is they tried to narrow it down to this transfer instruction, and what the transfer instruction was doing was using an undocumented feature of the 6809. If you specify, there's 4 bits per register in the instruction post byte. So each 4 bits gives you 16 possible combinations of what register the source is and what the register destination is. So while a 0000 might be the condition code register and a 001 might be the A register. So you do the 1 and then the 0 you transfer from A to CC or whatever they happen to be. But there's not 16 registers on the 6809. So the undocumented feature of the 6809 is if you pick a register that doesn't exist, like a bit combination that specifies register that doesn't exist, whatever you're transferring to will be filled with FFs. So this word processor was using this as a shortcut to load a register with FFs without having to actually do an actual load itself. It's a smaller instruction for a 16-bit register. So that was the way they optimized their code. This was putting in some other random value, and they couldn't figure out, what this was. So they said, well, let's experiment a bit. Let's take that bit combination. We'll make it the destination. Because if it's just random garbage that the chip happens to do differently, if you try to transfer from a legitimate register, say the D register, let's say you loaded that with 1,000, and you transfer it to this unknown thing. If it was just garbage, if you tried to transfer that value back afterwards, it would always come out the exact same as it always does. It would ignore your original transfer to it. So they did that. Now, when they transferred this different value over, say the 1,000, it actually would transfer back, and it came back as 1,000, which means it was retaining the value. So this is a legitimate new register that didn't exist on the 6809. It wasn't garbage. It wasn't some random thing that was being placed on or a fixed value that was being placed on. And that's what started the whole thing. So after that was discovered, they went, we know there's new registers. There's got to be commands that access this register. So then they started going through the entire opcode list of everything that was unspecified in the 6809 design. They actually formed a bit of a committee that went through this all. They had BBSs set up for it to, everybody was relaying back and forth what they discovered. And they spent the next month or two going through every single unknown opcode, and they figured out the entire instruction set. And then they started figuring out how native mode worked, where you can kick in the CPU. They figured out there's an illegal instruction trap. They figured out there's a 32-bit register and a 32-bit divide and 16 by 16 sign multiply, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they figured all this stuff out, and they published it on this BBS. And then OFM magazine got wind of it and said, this is really cool. We should tell our readers about it. So they actually got permission to take that article as they went through and figured out all these extra things and actually published it in the magazine itself. So that's how that actually came around. And then eventually that was translated to English 4 years later in 1992. I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he posted it in the 6809 group on listserv.
I think it was Hirochu Kago. I don't know. Can anyone read this? I printed this out way back then, and it's the whole email is like 20 pages of the hidden features of the 6309.
Yeah, that's the one Kevin Darling used, and he tested it with the TFM instruction and did a memory dump before and after. Yes, it works. I remember that vividly. That was awesome. So I'm waiting for Joel to finish translating the rest of it from Google English to regular English. But even in its current state, there's a lot of cool stuff in there that, like I said, I've not heard of before. We just got the technical details in that post on Usenet of basically here's the instructions that are new and the new registers and everything else, with a little bit of the history of it, but not some of the details that were revealed here. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of this fixed up in proper English. But cool bit of history here. And then the last story I've got here, this is a Dragon one. So this year is the anniversary, the 40th anniversary of a ton of computers in the UK. The C64 was released, the Spectrum was released, the Dragon 32 was released. So there's a ton of videos going up here covering the 40th anniversary of those computers. We've mentioned on the news before that some of the computer museums are doing special things for the 40th anniversary of those machines because there was a ton of them coming out this year, 40 years ago. And this one here is a 23-minute discussion on the Dragon 32. There's a few things he kind of speculated on that I don't quite agree with, and I'm sure Six and a few others might be able to, chime in on that as well. But it is pretty good, and he goes through a bit of the history and why did it not fully succeed, and I think there's a lot of truth in it. It did succeed a little bit better at the beginning than I think he's letting on, though. About half a year ago, I discovered there was a reprint in the Register online news site of a 1982 sales figures in the UK of all the different machines, the top 20 basically. And the Dragon 32 at the beginning of 1983, which is a few months in after it started getting sold. I think it started selling in August of 82, if I remember correctly. But basically, it was in second place out of every single 8-bit machine on the market. And by the end of the year, I think it was down to 9th or 10th, but it stayed in the top 10 the entire year against the BBC Micro and the Spectrum and some other machines. So it was not what I call a poor seller. And judging by the serial numbers I've seen, there was at least 400,000 Dragon 32 sold, and they were only sold for a few years. So that's not too bad for that small of a market. So, but he goes through a little bit of Dragon 32. Of course, the Dragon 64 came out, I think, the next year, so that it's not its 4th anniversary quite yet. And he's got, some box with the original boxing for it, the original joysticks, et cetera, too. And he goes through some of the bundles that came with it, et cetera. And it does a bit of a brief demo of the actual thing running, which I think he's running the Cyrus chess package. Yeah, there it is, which is actually one that was sold here by Radio Shack for the CoCo as well. He goes into a comparison of the CoCo and the Dragon as well, too. And he actually had one of these himself when he was young, and he liked it because it had one of the best keyboards, and that I will totally agree with. It's the same keyboard the Mark Data Products Super Pro upgrade keyboard for the CoCo 1 had, and it is one of the better keyboards, especially if you tried typing on a Spectrum. It's not the best keyboard. It's better than the ZX81 or the ZX80 was, obviously, or Atari 400, but it wasn't great. And to be honest, the Dragon 32 keyboard was far better than the CoCo's was at that time, and it actually is better than the CoCo 3s even. CoCo 3 came closer. It's not bad, but it fell in that place where it was good at games, not great, and it was really good for programming and learning, not the best. Like the BBC Micro had a really awesome BASIC, which is closer to BASIC 9 actually than a regular BASIC. So it kind of fit in the middle between these things. Like usually you had stuff like the Ataris or the C64s where like these are game machines basically, and then you had some of the hardcore computer geek style ones like the BBC Micro. And the Dragon kind of straddled the line, as did the CoCo. So good bit of history here. I'm expecting a few more of these videos to show up as the year goes on, just because it is a 40th anniversary. So I'm expecting there'll be quite a few people that have maybe never used Dragon before be doing long form videos on the history. So I look forward to seeing those, and I'll keep trying to find those for you guys to see. And that is it for the news for today, this week. Oh, did we let Mark fall asleep again?
Wake up, Mark. Wake up. Mark. Time for school.
Do I have to?
McFly, is anybody home?
Got a comment from 60 in the chat. He says, I remember playing with undocumented transfer as a kid. Yeah.
In trouble nowadays.
The funny thing is the 6809 and the 609 both still have register combinations that aren't used. There's some extra registers in 609, but not all 16 are used up. But the behavior when you use an undocumented one is different. So the 6809 will use FFs. It'll fill whatever you're transferring to. On the 609, it's zeros, which we do use in Nitrous 9 as a quick way to clear out a register without clearing condition code bits like the zero flag, and you don't have to preload something else. So it's handy. But you could do some optimizations with an assembler that can have equates and stuff to like assemble this code if you have this type of CPU, assemble this code if you don't. And you could actually use the advantage of the FF preload or the 00 preload depending on the CPU to your advantage and whatever you're doing. And now you guys can all complain that I don't do the news as well as Mark. So Mark, you want the job from the future from now on? Or?
You're muted, Mark.
That's why Mark does it better.
Sorry. Oh, the backup news person? Yeah, I guess I'll get that in the future. So.
No, I meant main news person here, so I don't.
Oh, the main news person.
Go horse
Why?
all the time.
What about the?
Oh, I see. Trade off. Well, yeah, we could do that too.
What about the Mark muted news?
We'll bring Mark in for third down. There
Sorry,
you go.
my wife was talking to me, so distracted. No. But anyway, no, if you need be, I mean, I guess I didn't do too bad, so I could do that more regularly.
No, I'm just kidding. I can keep doing it. But there will be times, especially as work starts to pick up to pre-pandemic levels again, that I will not be able to make it. So you did a good job. So I wouldn't mind. And I'll still try to find all the news articles for you, so you don't have to spend a week researching all that.
Yeah, I don't hit Facebook that much just because of just I have too many things.
Well, because it's Facebook.
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you for sorting those out.
And for those new to the show, if you join our Discord, of course, we've got the news links and little descriptions of all the different stories that I've been reading from here. It's posted every week after the show, or just before the show, actually.
Those news links are there now for this week.
Yep.
I got a couple of things to show.
Cool.
Go ahead, Ron.
Can I share?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. All right, I found this book. And this is the book. Kids to Kids on the color computer.
Oh, I've got a copy of that.
Do you? I wondered if anybody else has seen it. It's pretty interesting.
I don't think I've seen it. I think I knew it existed, but I don't think I've seen them before.
But it has some neat artwork.
I'll go see if I can find my copy.
There's a color computer there on the left, the TV, another color computer one, little foreshortened. But yeah,
What year did this one come out? I'm assuming like 82, 81, 83, somewhere in there.
I don't know. Why does it say 1944 down there?
No copyright. Cool.
Here, 83.
83.
Okay, so that's
The
near the
author
tail end
was
of the CoCo One's life.
Yeah, the author was born in 1944.
Well, anyway, this is the back end of it. And if you get a chance, take a look at it. It's pretty neat.
So is it like an educational manual to learn BASIC, or is it a bunch of sample programs to do other things? Like, what is it?
Yeah, sample kids, stuff to go through and have kids play on the machine, you know. Pretty neat. And then,
Might want to move your mic a bit there, Ron. I'm getting a lot of your breathing. I mean, it's nice to know you're still alive and breathing and all that.
It was 1983, according to the URL from archive.org there. Datamos 1983.
Yeah, that's what it said on the page too. So,
all right, then the thing called Radio Shack Color Computer in the Experimental Psychology Laboratory and Evaluation. I didn't really read it, but I thought it might be interesting to somebody.
Sounds like you're still outdoors.
Yeah, your mic twisted sideways, maybe, so the noise canceling isn't canceling.
Well,
I think he's got a fan blowing on him.
Oh, that could be it. Yep, that's what it is.
Okay.
I'm in the garage and it's 89 outside.
Well,
stop.
Keeping cool is important, though.
Yeah. So check that out. It's on my page, you know. And I wish I could find out where the heck I left off here. Oh, it must be here. Okay, and then I found something on here. As you can see, my computer is advanced and fast. But this talks about the Rainbow magazine. And
was this the one that Alan Huffman did a few years back?
Is he the?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
2018. Yeah, we
All
covered
right.
it way back when
I
he first did.
I was not even aware of it.
Well, if any new viewers that weren't, following us, 4 years ago and haven't watched all the back episodes, why haven't you? Then this would be nice for them to.
Because you know how many hours that is?
So what's this one about, Ron? Are you muted, Ron?
I think Brian Joyce figured out with the first 199 episodes, we had like 639 hours.
Ron
of
has
content.
muted himself.
Oh, okay, that's what's going on. Ron, you have to unmute.
Zoom hates you now.
It's a Zoom mute.
I mean, from looking at it, it's another older article from 2016, but it's talking about Sierra. I guess when they were producing, I didn't get a chance to see the article for this period there.
Yeah, it's on my Ron's Garage. You can check it out.
So what is it? Is it basically just a history of when Sierra was writing
Yeah.
software for the CoCo, or?
Yeah, evidently it was short-lived, but they did a good job, you know.
Well, of course, they have the famous, CoCo 3 games, the system that where they did Your Suit Larry and King's Quest 3, but they also did previously some of the educational stuff like Donald Duck's Playground and Mickey's Space Adventures and some of that ones. So they actually did publish stuff for the CoCo 1, 2, and the 3 over the course of probably good 3 or 4 years at least.
If you have nothing to do sometime, just type in Candy Color Computer in Google and start looking way back in the back, and you'll see articles that come up and interesting things you either didn't know or other people
Missed
know
first time
about.
around, yeah.
Yeah, evidently, because I've been around a while, since the beginning, and some of the stuff you know, and some is surprising, like all this stuff about the 6309. I don't think in 85, 86 I knew about the 6309 at all.
I didn't either. I didn't find out about it till 92.
Yeah.
When the original post happened in English. I do that too, actually. Like occasionally I'll just search for news stories. Normally I have a few central places I look, like YouTube and Facebook and Discord, etc. But every once in a while I'll just do a search like over the last week, where's the Tier City Color Computer been mentioned? Unfortunately, there's so many bots that just duplicate other people's pages. So it shows up a lot of stuff that's just, the same page at 15 different places in Russia or something stupid. So it's not too easy to find stuff. So I'm glad you're taking the time to dig through and finding some of these old articles. Some of them I've seen before, some of them I've never seen before either. So.
Well, this has nothing to do with our show or anything, but I'm going to watch the eclipse with my telescopes, and I usually rebroadcast pictures to Italy, to a friend over there that has a telescope, and he rebroadcasts it to Europe because they generally can't see it sometimes. And NASA TV has agreed to rebroadcast the broadcast. So some of my pictures from the
You're gonna be
eclipse
famous.
coming, yeah, well, a little bit. So that'll be cool to see.
So you're this close to going up on a SpaceX flight then, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. That's on the 15th, 16th.
We'll have Ron live on the International Space Station receiving a WeFax.
Next full moon. When everybody goes nuts.
Yeah, Alan Murphy says Ron's Space Garage hanging off the ISS.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I bet Taylor and Amy would like to see that too, since they're quite involved with like rocketry, et cetera. So
yeah,
maybe if they get enough license to make a really big spaceship, they can help launch you up.
I don't know. You never know.
Fly a banner off the back of the ISS. You're good.
Pretty soon the Russians are going to detach from the ISS because of what's going on.
Yeah. And China started their own space station too. So
yeah. So when they do that, it'll probably start flipping.
yeah, I mean, this is completely off topic for COVID talk, but I don't think it's going to be that bad of an influence, because I mean, one of the reasons they did it was they were trying to do it as a kind of a slap, saying, well, nobody could get onto off the space station now because we're not going to be doing flights anymore. But SpaceX has kind of picked it up. So
yeah,
and they just brought back 4 astronauts. So I don't think that's as big of a problem as the Russians are making it out to be.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. So. Hey, enough political talk.
Yeah, really.
All right. That was everything that was on my list. Anything else going on?
Anybody else got anything they want to add or talk about? Before we close the show, 1 week before the fest, where we get to see some of each other live for the first time. Well, first time in months for the people in the States that made it to the last fest, but a couple of years for us Canucks.
And watch out, David Ladd's a hugger.
Oh, don't worry.
As long as he's not a hugger in a Speedo, because nobody wants that. But
I'm going to the pool now. Ooh.
Would you care to join me?
Ooh.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Well, with that, we better run the outro.
Yeah, push the button, Frank.
This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer, MC10, and Dragon systems. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTALK.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTALK@CoCoTALK.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click on the Patreon link on our website, CoCoTALK.live. CoCoTALK would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Alan Murphy, Amigos Retro Gaming, Bill Noble, Brian Joyce, Brian Weaver, Curtis Boyle, D. Bruce Moore, Danny O'Connor, David Ladd, Eric Canales, George Jansen, Grant Leedy, James Diffendapper, Jason Reichert, Jim Brain, Ken Reichert, Ken Waters, Mark Bosley, Mark Overholzer, Mikey Furman, Mr. Dave 6309, Nick Marentes, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Richard Lorbieski, Rick Adams, Rick Hewlin, Rob Inman, Ron Delvaux, Samuel Gimes, Sloopy Malibu, Steve Bjork, Terry Steggy, Tom C., and many, many more. Please help support the CoCo community. A list of various contributors and resources are available at imacoconut.com. That's imacoconut.com. The original CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. The new CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2020 by D. Bruce Moore. Both are mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever!
And we're back. Any last thoughts?
I hope to see as many people as possible at the fest in 1 week.
Right. This is going to be running for a couple more days yet.
The show, you mean?
No.
My
3D
printer.
Cases.
Best
Be there or be
preparation.
square.
CoCoFEST, 1 week, Chicago. Be there.
What are you making?
Or else.
Cases for the network card thing. So
See in the bottom left corner, there's the network cards, and there's the case for them up on the 3D printer.
And there's the Elmer's glue stick.
oh yeah, don't never underestimate the power of the purple glue stick.
Absolutely. It's good stuff.
All the 3D people swear by them.
Makes nice shiny cases.
All right.
Oh
well,
yeah, I had to remember the olden case, the old and cheap tower cases from the 90s, because I sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the battle wounds to prove it. Yeah.
I thought that was soldering wounds. That's what I get too.
I
So.
gotta
Remember,
come on
everybody
that
bring
too.
David Ladd Diet Dr. Pepper to CoCoFEST.
oh Lord.
I won't be. I'll be bringing some special stuff he requested though.
Ooh.
Oh, so
We
a
need
little baggy.
Special.
We need to hijack the Dr. Pepper trick.
I think we need so much see how much Dr. Pepper will fit in David Ladd's car. Maybe that should be a thing.
Freeze dried Dr.
That's where we need
Pepper.
Richard back because he was already experimenting with that, wasn't he?
I think that was just Grant spilling
That was root beer.
all over his truck.
So,
I wonder if he got ants from that.
I don't know.
Or
All right.
uncles.
Uncles. Well, see everybody next week at CoCoFEST. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
See you all there.
All
Either
right.
we'll see you in real life if you're attending the fest itself, or we'll see you on the stream and hopefully pick up some chats with you guys on the during the show.
Absolutely.
Stay away
Usually
from
somebody
couches.
cruises around with a camera. So
No couches on the road.
All right.
safe travel.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.